Hi guys, how are you? Welcome in. Come on in. We got some Alice in Wonderland going. Let's see what happens. You guys, I didn't know that there was a part two. Did you guys know that? That there was a part two to that what was it called that we were watching? The I almost said the comeback. The reaction to the 9 hour live. I had no idea that there. Oh wait, I didn't know. I'm trying to get the comments um, on the side, so it just played it a little bit. All right, here we go. Now I can see the chat. All right. So how's everyone doing? Everybody doing good? Come on in. Come on in. Would be easier if I put the chat here too. And I want to do all, not top. Let's do all messages. There we go. Probably be easier if I just put it in this. There we go. Hey, Harlot. Hey, Bella. Come on in, you guys. Hi, Cuff You. Hi, Mayor. Hi, Truth. I was just going to text like everybody if I didn't hear from you. Hi, Ella. Hi, Casey. Hi, Jad Threabod. Who else do we have? Ella. Welcome in, Ella. Who else? Ella was our first one here. It was Travis here. Travis is here. Hey, Travis. Hi, Sky. Come on in, you guys. I had no idea that there was a part two podcast and I couldn't find it on YouTube. So I was like, where'd this come from? So I started to play it. I wasn't going live tonight. I started to play it and I thought it was like wow enough, in my opinion, that I was like, Ryan, do you care if I go live? I usually hang out with my husband on Saturdays, but we went to the movie, so it was good. But you guys, I couldn't believe it. So come on in. This should be a good live. This should be a good live. Let's see. I have slides, of course, because I always have slides. Not always, but you know what I mean. I often have slides. I just never get through them ever, but that's okay. I'm going to start just, I think, Cuff You, I need to start just sending them to you, even though I don't get through them, because then we don't always get back to it. You know what I mean? Oh, what movie did I go see? It was called, oh my God, what the hell was it called? Hold on, Alice. Mercy. The name of the movie was Mercy. Thank you. Mercy. It was pretty cool. It was like the future of like policing, and I don't know. They did like an AI judge. I was like, oh my God. So that's why he was like, I think you might like this because it had to do with like crime scenes and AI. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I want an AI judge ever. Although I guess it could work either way. But anyway, it was it was good. It was fun though. I just like yeah, I went to the movie. All right, I think I have to somehow get the chat off of here so that we could see. Oh no, is it going to let me? Can you guys see the hidden true crime thing? Wait, let me just do it this way so you guys could see. How do I get that off? Hold on, you guys. Let's see. How do I unshare that? I don't know. We might be stuck with the chat over here. Crap. Let me see. Is there another way I could do this? Oh look, now it's like little over here. I can take away this. Look, I can get rid of this for now. My little Alice in Wonderland things over here. Oh, I think I just got rid of the everything. Let me see. Did I just get rid of everything? I always have an issue, you guys. Let's see. I think I deleted the background. I did. So now I'm just going to have to pick something because I deleted it. And I don't know where it's at. And I'm not keeping just a plain background because I'm anything but plain. I'm sure I'll find it. Here it is. Alice in Wonderland. Got it back. Okay. So we got our Alice in Wonderland back. Now I'm going to fix this the right way. And we are going to get rid of this right now. There we go. That's one thing we got covered. The other one, I don't know. I don't know. Show names. Oh wait, hold on. No, not audio. I don't want to mess with that because my look. I don't know, you guys. So I don't know why it's not letting me do it that way. So let's just forget that. We'll figure it out. Let's share this again. We're going to share my slides. And I'm not going to stay on the slides because I think it's really I think part of this that we need to see is actually hearing it. But wait till you guys see. So actually, you know what? I don't like how this looks. So I'm going to stop that because it's annoying me. I could always do that another time. We're actually just going to go right to the video. However, first, we're going to be looking at persuasion. Okay, so tonight, persuasion is going to be part of the theme. And we're going to see, obviously, this is all alleged, in my opinion, all the good things. We're doing this for educational purposes and no harassment, no call to action, none of that stuff. I feel like I have to say that all the time. We can be sharp and ethical at the same time. So here we go. But here we go, you guys. There was a part 2. I cannot believe it. It's long, so we probably won't fully play it tonight, but I was like, wait, what? So here we go real quick. Just a few house rules. Like I said, no contacting anyone. We're not going to dox anyone. Dr. John actually talks about doxing. Okay, so let's talk real quick before I put it on about let me see, what do I want to say here? I have my little notes instead of going through all that. You know what? I'm just going to get into it, guys. Let's just get into it because this is wait till you see. You're going to be like, oh my God. All right, ready? We're going to share this. Is this what I want to share? Yes, I do. Okay. I think you guys could see what I'm seeing. Let me just make sure. Hold on, it takes an extra second because we're a few seconds behind. But I think you guys could see what I'm seeing. As soon as I do, I'll play it. And wait, let me just guys. Yeah, you guys could see it. Okay, so did you guys see this? Let me know in chat if you saw this because I did not. And you guys, please share this out and stuff since I didn't really put it up anywhere. That way people can come and join us because this, my friends, was a bit much. Oh, wait, do you see what I mean? Okay, so this part 2, and please let me know if you guys have seen this because I had absolutely no idea that this was a thing. Okay? So, wait, let me rewind it because I started playing it already. I was like, wait, what? Hold on, let's rewind it.
When this type of stalker is interviewed, they almost...
Oh, wait, hold on, I didn't rewind it. Where's the rewind? Do I have to download it? I don't want to download it. Wait, let me see, you guys. Why can't I? Do I have to do that? I can't. I guess I'm going to have to go backwards. Hold on, let me do it this way. I got an idea. Let's do this. I can't believe I'm going to do this. But we're going to X out of it. It's going to show our live right now. Actually, I should probably shut that off. Hold on. I'm going to re-show it because I want to make sure that we start it from the beginning. You guys, wait till you see. All right, here we go. Come on. Oh my God. I write so much that it's all the way back here. All right, here it goes. Oh my God. Could you imagine? Wait, hold on, you guys, because I'm going to freak out if I can't find it again. Oh, no, I'll find it again. All right, it's not that one. No, that's not it. Shoot. Hold on, I got this. I can't believe I did that. Actually, I can believe it. Oh, wait, here we go. I got it. So it's on something called Speaker. Speaker is the name of where I got it from. And it's like, I guess, a podcast site. So here we go. Let's look at Speaker. All right, here we go.
Verily present themselves not as an avenger, but as a victim.
Oh, no. Oh, here we go.
Themselves
all right, here we go, you guys. I don't know why it's not letting me go back like that, but I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning anyway, because in the very beginning, but you're going to see like Grayson talks. I don't know why it's not letting me just go back the other way. So we're just going to do this. I'm sure if Kresha was here, she would tell me how to do it, but I don't know if she's here. So we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way so that I don't freak out. All right, let's just go back 2 more minutes.
Play update it. Stop, I'm feeling threatened. Posting that I'm feeling threatened.
Oh, here we go, you guys.
Even if it's just trying to scare them.
All right, here we go.
Or make them afraid. So intentional
Sorry
harm,
about that.
That's a big part of it. Obviously, there's a targeted social media account. Only about multiple targeted social media accounts. Only about you. Did that induce a certain amount of fear in you?
Yes.
Could you explain?
Well, multiple, the song lyrics that she was posting were very frightening, crying about what I lose, what am I going to lose, burning my fucking kingdom to the ground, her accomplices constantly egging her on and inciting to saying, yes, burn that kingdom to the ground, calling workplaces, other people coming forward and saying, I'm getting strange calls from this person saying you're bad, not to work with you. Admitting to trying to find our LinkedIns months later, being suspicious, posting and sharing that they're following everything I say, putting eye emojis on podcasts that I'm doing, saying I'm watching you, doing things besides saying, please stop, I'm feeling threatened, posting that I'm feeling threatened. Continually, breaking a stalking injunction. Yeah. And by the way, to all of those that egged her on, there was peer pressure in this. One of those podcasters just claimed yesterday that they would have advised her against ever doing this, yet on her Instagram months ago put, you go, girl. So maybe all of you should be considering how you played a part in this too.
Okay, you guys, so that's the first place I wanted to stop. I don't know if you guys realize, but I'm sure you do, but it took me a second. I had to go back and forth. But here, wow, they blame podcasters for covering this. Like, what? I think I'll do it this way since we don't really need to see much here. There we go. Because you don't really need to see much as far as looking at it. Okay, you guys. So does everybody get that? So if we've done a live like I have, we're to blame too.
Keep in mind that several of the definitions I just read about cyberstalking include groups. Let's continue. Criteria 2, Nevada for a category C felony for cyberstalking in Nevada. Category 2, the accused person must have used electronic devices such as a computer or phone to transmit information that puts the victim at risk of violence or harm. Yep. Stalking must happen online or through some other electronic means. Criteria 3. Criteria 4, the victim must feel fearful.
So what he's going over right now, you guys, is the definition of stalking. And I went over the definition of stalking multiple times on here. But if you guys remember, well, yeah, you guys remember all that. I'm not going to rehash it. Let's just listen more because it's just, wait till you guys hear all this, if you haven't already.
Because of the accused person's actions.
I know, right, Case?
We just covered that.
Hi, Glenn. Hi, Case. Oh, well, Travis says they're not discussing Utah law. The judge took 30 seconds correctly to dispense with what is valid or not valid. Okay. Thank you, Travis.
The final criteria
oh my God,
in Nevada is what's called the reasonable person standard. The conduct must be such that a reasonable person in the same situation would also be afraid. That, of course, that would not be up to us to determine. That would be up to the triers of fact, which would be a judge or a jury. Let's talk about.
Oh my gosh, there's no. Thank you, Northern Fights. You are the best. Thank you so much. So why does blame transferred surprise you? Pattern. Why does blame transferred surprise you? I don't think I'm following Northern Fights, but if you tell me what you mean. But this is the thing. So I don't know exactly, but let me know if what you mean is like they blame, in my opinion, everybody else but themselves. And we see this in different personality characteristics, which John tells us last night. Do you guys remember when he was talking last night about, well, you guys are going to see. He winds up doing all the things that he tells us last night. I'll leave it for when we get to it. But I want to know what you meant. So there's always another party to blame for every situation. So we often see this, right? Because if you think about it, not everybody does this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I say I'm wrong, and then I fix the correction and you move on. Here, there's no accountability, and everything is everyone else's fault. And we're going to hear in a minute, they go on to say, like, they literally, it was almost, I mean, this was done in October, so obviously this isn't how it went. But it was almost as if they were watching the live and were responding to it because they go over some of the things that we talked about last night, like how they're a bigger podcast and da-da-da-da-da. So wait till you guys see. But I think that goes back to personality characteristic, in my opinion, allegedly, in my opinion, that we see this often in narcissistic traits. You know what I mean? Like, so, and again, I'm not, I have to say that I'm not diagnosing anyone, stuff like that. I'm just talking about when we see narcissistic behavior, we often see somebody that blames other people or other things for whatever's going on around them. Thank you again so much, Northern Fights. I really appreciate you. That was so very generous of you.
This is from probably the best known textbook
Here we go.
Stalking, the most well-read and respected textbook on stalking. It's called Stalkers and Their Victims. It's by Mullen, Pathé, and Purcell. It's the second edition from 2009. It's published by Cambridge University Press. Stalkers and Their Victims. Page 153. Following behavior.
Keep in mind that they're reading these books about stalkers and their victims, knowing that she was never in the court of law deemed a stalker. Christina wasn't.
Behaviors characterize cyber stalking. Number one,
now it's cyber stalking, you guys. Before it was physical stalking, which was the whole thing about the stalking injunction, that they felt threatened for their lives, right?
Repeated unwanted messages.
Oh my God, Cuff,
yeah,
you do
via
it.
a public platform.
Right. So
well, through email, through text,
social media.
I'm feeling threatened, and then through a public social media platform.
Oh my God,
through social media. Another criteria. Publishing private information of a potentially damaging or embarrassing nature. Again, I mentioned that publishing private information is illegal.
But it's not, though. I feel like he's mixing like terms, and maybe Travis could help us a little bit because Travis is a lawyer, but I feel like what he's talking about here is like, of course, if you had like your mental health records or medical records, right? Those things obviously would be private, but not text messages. Because if text messages were illegal, then they also break the law because they show multiple text messages. And although it's although it's partially their text message, there's still another person that's, responding back and forth with them. So therefore, how is it okay for one and not for the other? That's my biggest issue here, is that there's a lot of it's okay for me, but not for you. And again, I do think it plays into her being a bigger creator.
But that too is cyber stalking.
Not that I think it has to do with that. I mean, I think that it's more egregious because she has a bigger platform. So I feel like she should go the extra step to show transparency and take accountability. And we're not seeing any of that here.
Okay. So anybody in this group who has published private information about you publicly that's potentially damaging to your reputation is part of the smear campaign. And they're engaging in cyber stalking. The next criteria, spreading false information. How many rumors?
So true.
How much gossip has been spread about you? That you damage, you hurt creators, that you don't care about victims, right? Like, no matter what you say or do, that rumor persists endlessly. And then in the smear campaign, you get, wait for the receipts. That too is a form of harassment. That too is a threat. When you wake up every day to a social media campaign of multiple people constantly saying they're going to take you down.
And writing, again, my professional contact saying, oh, just wait for the receipts. Just wait, they're coming.
So my thing is this, you guys, again, all of you right now, if you really wanted to, I mean, you could go make a TikTok of like a hate TikTok of me. That's your right as a citizen, right? So I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. That's your right. You get it. You have a right to say whatever you want about me. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they don't have the insight here that I would expect.
So spreading false information, that's another criteria. Here's another criteria. Gathering information about a victim online. That's called doxing. Did we get doxed? Oh, we got doxed. We got so doxed.
They were mad they had to work a little bit harder because we didn't have a LinkedIn, which is super sauce. It's like saying you don't have a face, you don't have a Facebook. You know, is anything we're saying true?
What?
So doxing, by the way, that's classic harassment. In fact, doxing is defined as harassment.
Yeah,
Were we
who's
doxxed?
doxing?
Yes, I was doxxed. You were doxxed. You know, I guess there was some good news that came out of it because she said, the TikToker said that she believed there was so little information on us because we curated.
Wow. So are they accusing Christina of doxing them? And if so, is that like considered, what's the word I'm looking for? Like defamation of some sort? Because I feel like, why is she allowed to call her stalker? I just don't understand why this is okay.
Our accounts. We have curated
our Google search results.
We've curated nothing.
Curated a dang thing.
I don't even know how I would curate. I don't know how to curate.
I mean, maybe we should get somebody to do that.
And here is the last cyber stalking behavior that defines cyber stalking.
You did it, Cuffy?
Ready for
You
this
are
one?
the best.
Encouraging others to harass the victim.
There's a lot of that.
Hi, Kim. That's Kim, I bet, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Do we fit these criteria? Do we fit
Oh, just wait, you guys. Grayson chimes in soon.
these definitions?
Did you guys know about this?
I'm
Because
gonna
I did
stay
not.
I'm going to stay with the textbook, Stalkers and Their Victims, second edition.
Mhm.
I'm going to use
Charlotte,
some of their
you're
definitions.
Is he talking
Page
about
2,
the creators who got
defining
her
stalking.
text
And
and
again,
showed
this
them? I'm not sure what he's talking about, to be honestly, but it could be. It could be. It could be. Oh, and wait, you guys, they go on to. Oh, wait, Christina was doxxed during the 9-hour live because you are so right, Kim. I forgot about that. And she says something like, well, the cops put that out. So if they wanted it redacted, they would have redacted it. Like again, oh my God, Northern Fights. This is a great example right here. In that 9-hour live, and I don't know if we got to it, she absolutely doxes Christina. Thank you so much for reminding me of that, Lee. And she, like, you look at her and, like, you could see, like, her face change for a minute. But then, instead of being like, oh, my bad, I didn't mean to do that, or whoops, like, Grayson, we didn't see that, or just anything, she goes on and blames the police department for not redacting it. Like, what? Like, even that's your responsibility. Do you know what I mean?
This isn't cyber stalking. I'm defining stalking here, broadly speaking.
He does see this as
or
important.
they don't even call it stalking, they call it obsessional following. This is how they define obsessional following, right? Quote.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. They go on now in this episode to deem Janice a stalker too.
Abnormal or long-term pattern of threat or harassment directed towards a specific individual. Yep. Here's how the authors define it. Stalking is, quote, a constellation of behaviors in which one individual inflicts on another repeated, unwanted intrusions and communications.
Sounds about right.
Yep. So I've read a lot of definitions of stalking. I've read definitions of cyber stalking. Do they fit?
Yes.
Yet, of course, there's plenty of people apparently out there who argue that this wasn't stalking, this was catfighting, this was Real Housewives stuff, whatever, there was no harm involved. I would urge them to go look at the legal and academic definitions as I did before.
We did. We actually went over it more than once on my channel. So I don't know if you guys remember. If you didn't, we could go over it again. But he just went over it. So I don't really feel the need to do it again myself. But just so that everybody does know, if you are watching us for the first time, I've gone over stalking in detail.
Of stalking? Because stalking, one of the interesting things out there in terms of listening to some of this debate about what stalking is that almost all the people who would disagree with the academic criteria that I'm reading and the legal criteria, they see stalking as like a 1930s phenomenon where you follow.
I wasn't even born till like The most 1980 goof.
Pull someone around in your old Ford, I don't know, 1930s cars, your whatever, your old Ford Jalopy with a gun, right? They think stalking is physically following someone around with a gun, right? Guess.
Hey, all right, I don't know where with a gun came from, but physically, like, isn't that the whole point of the stalking injunction, though, was that she was physically afraid? She needed to get a police escort to her car. Like, so now they're just rewriting. Like, talk about linguistic gymnastics. Like, what the?
What? It's not. We live in 2025. Stalking is.
This was back in October.
Fixated obsessional behavior that's unwanted and repeated that causes distress in the victim. That's precisely what's going on with you. So this idea that there's a team Lauren.
You could also say it in the reverse, right? So if you were Christina or, other people, you could also say, like, you could use that same that's what I mean. Like, there's such a lack of insight and the ability to reflect on and connect or bridge that insight.
And a team, I mean, people can believe whatever they want.
We can.
But like this idea of teams is absurd. If you look at the criteria for stalking, how it's defined legally and academically.
Hi, Tambourine. Yep.
There's two teams.
Hi, Kat.
There's team Lauren,
is there?
Who fits all the criteria of stalking and cyber stalking, every one of them. And then there's the stalking team, who doesn't fit who meets all the criteria of someone who's stalking.
Did you guys catch that? Ready? I was like, wait,
there's
what did
two
he
teams.
say? Wait, ready? Listen.
There's team Lauren, who fits all the criteria of stalking and cyber stalking, every one of them.
Whoops, was that a Freudian slip, John? Let's hear it one more time.
And then there's team Lauren, who fits all the criteria of stalking and cyber stalking, every one of them. And then there's the stalking team, who doesn't fit who meets all the criteria of someone who's stalking. I don't know. I mean,
wow. Did you guys catch that? Talk about a Freudian slip.
Have we litigated the stalking?
I have to one more time.
Lauren, who fits all the criteria of stalking and cyber stalking, every one of them.
Whoops.
And then there's the stalking team, who doesn't fit who meets all the criteria of someone who's stalking. I don't know. I mean, have we litigated that in court yet? No. Mm-hmm. But I feel very confident that if and when we do, if we re-up this case and litigate it in another state that's not Provo, Utah, that we're going to show quite clearly that you meet the criteria for stalking and that you need protection.
What? Have you guys heard this? I haven't heard this, nor have I heard any creators talking about this. Did you guys just hear what he said?
We do. If we re-up this case and litigate it in another state that's not Provo, Utah, that we're going to show quite clearly that you meet the criteria for stalking and that you need protection.
And to the media who thinks that filming civil stalking injunctions is okay. By the way,
no, Travis protection. Here. No. I know that he was, Travis said he was being sarcastic. He's saying her opponents are saying she is stalking. No, I think he did a Freudian slip there, Travis, because if you go back and listen to it, he says that Lauren fits. Oh, I see what you're saying, Travis. But Travis, what about this part? So maybe that is true. If that's true, then I take that back, because the way I heard that was he accidentally said that she was stalking instead of she doesn't fit the stalking, because he says Lauren, who does, instead of doesn't. And then he says the stalker, which I hate when he says that. And he says who doesn't fit, I mean does fit. So then he does it like the reverse there. So that's the only reason I thought that. But What about this part, you guys? What are they talking about? What state are they going to relitigate this in? And does that mean that we should all be like watching for that? Like, does Christina know about this? Should she do it first? Like, what is happening? You guys, I haven't heard anybody talk about this. Like, what's going on?
And to the media who thinks that filming.
Yeah, right
civil
about Lauren
stocking
fitting the
injections
criteria. Me
is
too.
Okay. By the way, I hope that you can reconsider.
Yes, Kim, let's just move around until we find somebody sympathetic. I can't believe this. Yes, Travis, it's okay, no big deal. But you guys, yeah, they live in Nevada, but I wonder if, does anybody know if Christina knows about this? How do we like tell her if she doesn't? Like, I literally have heard nobody talk about this yet. Like, when I saw this, I nearly died. I was listening to it and literally was like, babe, can we please, like, I don't know, watch another movie later, like, or tomorrow? I felt bad, but I haven't heard anybody. I hang out all the time with them, so it was fine. But the point is that I haven't heard this yet. So I'm dying to know if other people have heard it or if other people have covered this, because this is unreal.
Consider that position and wonder if this is maybe why people that are being abused can't escape their abusers, or that it might be used as an abuser's way of coercive control if they're encouraging media to cover a civil stalking injunction.
So now what? What?
Or that it might be used as an abuser's way of coercive control if they're encouraging media to cover a civil stalking injunction.
Wow.
Well, and on that point, by the way, we fought vigorously for privacy.
We did.
Vigorously.
The same county, by the way, where Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I might add, by someone who was incited by online rhetoric and violence. Same county.
I know she didn't just compare herself to a political assassination. What? Just because it happened in the same district? Do you know the things that have happened in Philadelphia? Like, what?
Where someone lost their lives because of online rhetoric.
You said lives. Did Charlie Kirk have multiple
Lost
lives?
their life.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Wait, he didn't know?
You said lives. Did
Oh.
Charlie Kirk have multiple
Lost
lives?
their life.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Did anybody just catch that? That was so condescending. I'm going to replay that. I want you guys to listen. She said where Charlie Kirk lost his lives, and instead of just letting it go as if John didn't just make a Freudian slip 5 minutes before, he corrects her. But like, it was so, I would not have been happy about that. Listen.
Online rhetoric.
You said lives. Did Charlie Kirk have multiple
Lost
lives?
their life.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
I would have been Charlie Clerk or Charlie Kirk, John. Like, what? Here comes Grayson.
Let's remind everybody you guys talked about this 4 months ago.
Yeah.
We could have sent masses to this woman's account 4 months ago. And why didn't we? Because we said, it's okay, we'll handle it. Just be private about it. We don't want anybody to know. Nobody knew for months. Because
nobody knew about it until they said something. What? I can't believe, isn't this a threat? Like, couldn't Christina say that this is a threat? Seriously, think about it, you guys. The things that Lauren said were threatening, isn't this a threat? I mean, let's listen again.
It's okay, we'll handle it. We could have sent masses to this woman's account 4 months ago. And why didn't we? Because we said, it's okay, we'll handle it. Just be private about it. We don't want anybody to know. Nobody knew about it for months.
Of course you didn't want anybody to know.
We continued to just try and be quiet until we felt like we had no other option.
Grayson is over here saying, let's
We
remind
hear,
people
Lauren.
that we could have come forward in public 4 months ago and taken this into our hands and send everybody over to her account and taken care of this 4 months ago. But we didn't because
And taking care of what? You guys, we need to download this so that they can't like delete it. Because if, in my opinion, if Christina, think about it, if Christina would have played this and Christina was caught saying, we would have taken care of this, she would have freaked out.
we wanted this go and taken this into our hands and send everybody over to her account and taken care of this 4 months ago. But we didn't because we wanted this to remain private. And we didn't want people going over to her account to harass her or attack her. We could have come forward 4 months ago, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm also saying, somebody reached out to me who knows this person, and they just wanted to let me know that they had been contacted, and I told them, I find myself having a lot of empathy for her right now, regardless of what she's done, because I see the hate that she's getting, and I would never want somebody to feel that way. I would never want somebody to consider maybe doing something to themselves, or maybe, like, I actually don't believe, I don't think that the way you get somebody to have remorse and to change their behavior is by screaming at them.
Thor wants to bark.
This person.
Can you guys still hear
And
it?
just
When
wanted to give me some information.
oh,
I
it was
said, "Thank you
muted.
for the
I
information," and
apologize. Thor was barking
literally
so
sent back
loud.
a message that
So let
said,
me just
"I
rewind
find
it a sec. Thor,
if
can
you
you
come
not
to my
bark?
state, guess what I'm gonna do?" Yeah, it can hurt people. It can incite. Look at the death threat we got online with somebody loading a gun and
So Grayson says that she feels empathy for her right now because no matter what she's done, okay, Christina's done, that she wouldn't want her to hurt herself.
quite literally shooting it, saying, "If you come to my state, guess what I'm gonna do?"
So apparently Hidden True Crime got a threat of somebody saying, if you come to my state.
But so I don't believe in that. And I was telling this person who reached out, who had a relationship with this person, and just wanted to give me some information. I said, "Thank you for the information." And I literally sent back a message and said, "I find myself having a lot of empathy. And although I'm really struggling right now, it's no secret I am. I've been public about it, haven't been public about the specifics. I find myself having a lot of empathy because I wonder if she's maybe in a similar boat that I've been in for the last while. And I never want somebody to feel that way. And again, I don't think that going to her account and screaming at her and telling her she's wrong, if you want someone to change, that's not the way to get them to change. That actually makes them worse. The best way you can appeal to somebody's empathy and their appeal to their conscience, really, if they have one, is by having one yourself and trying to do it reasonably. Now, is this person reasonable? I wouldn't necessarily say so, but I would say that, like, again, just going crazy on her on social media is not going to do anything.
Well, I have to give credit where credit's due. Look at Grayson coming in with the insight. I wonder how they're going to respond. I didn't get very far, but I did hear one other thing that I was like, but I didn't get too far into it before I went live.
Well, yeah, and to the people that egged her on. That's my point too, the peer pressure. To every one of those commenters egging her on and continuing to tell her to do this, you also, hold some responsibility.
So instead of Lauren agreeing with Grayson and being like, yeah, you know what, Grayson, I agree with you. Instead, Lauren flips it around and says, and to you people that are inciting her, you hold responsibility too.
Every one of those commenters egging her on and continuing to tell her to do this, you also, hold some responsibility.
Who's doing that?
That's mobbing. It's group bullying. And you didn't help her either.
So I've gone through the criteria for stalking, both legal and academic definitions.
Yeah, no, right, Tambry?
To me, it seems pretty clear cut that you meet those criteria. Let's move on to different types of stalkers. So I'm going to refer to the same textbook, Stalkers and Their Victims, second edition, published in 2009.
Come on, John.
There are two different typologies. There's actually multiple typologies. There's like 4 typologies of stalkers that they identify, 4 or 5. But I only want to focus
Did he just say there's actually 4, but they identify 4 or 5?
on the ones that apply here.
Am
There's
I-
actually multiple typologies. There's like 4 typologies of stalkers that they identify, 4 or 5. But I only want to focus on the ones that apply here. So they actually lump them together because there's a lot of overlap, but they refer to this type of stalking as the rejected stalker and the resentful stalker.
Who says that what Christine is doing is these 2 types of stalkers, John? Because it looks like he's saying it. Like, obviously the person that wrote this book isn't saying that. They just came up with a book where they propose types of stalkers. He's not going over all of them, which is not cool to begin with, right? Like, give us all of them, even if you want to, give us the 4 or 5 of them, whatever he said it was, and then tell us that we're going to, dive into 2 of them or 2, but at least tell everybody what they are.
So what is the rejected stalker? The rejected stalker is...
Wait, you guys, he's like not even saying, in my opinion, like he's literally saying that Christina is a rejected stalker.
The rejected stalker occurs as a consequence of the breakdown of a close relationship.
Unbelievable.
So in other words, with you had a friendship with the person, or perceived friendship. For you, it was much of more of a parasocial relationship rather than a close relationship, but that's not how she perceived it. You have the breakdown of a relationship.
That was messed up. So he pretty much just said she thought you were her friend, but you weren't. But she thought you were because she thought she was your friend, but she wasn't. That was really messed up. And with parasocial relationships, you guys, that's usually with people that you don't meet. So here, her and Christina met multiple times. Didn't Lauren take her kids to the pool and stuff? Like, you don't do that with people that you have a parasocial relationship with.
The desire to exact revenge for the rejection. And then, you ready for this? The stalking substitutes for the lost intimacy of the friendship.
I thought it wasn't a friendship.
By creating the semblance of closeness.
See, you have to pick one here, right? I'm sorry I keep stopping it, but like, it's so annoying. This is where I'm starting to get fired up. Like, you have to pick one or the other. You can't have it both ways. I'll go back 10 seconds since I did that.
The stalking substitutes for the lost intimacy of the friendship by creating the semblance of closeness that's now gone.
That was hard.
I'm just going to read a little bit from the text about rejected stalkers because they're going to explain it better than me. Mm-hmm. Page 69 in the rejected stalker in the
I think so
textbook.
too, Rachel.
Quote, the rejected can be among the most persistent and intrusive of stalkers.
Yes,
once established, their pattern of harassment is very difficult to alter. It's not always immediately obvious why these men and women continue so tenaciously to pursue their erstwhile victim. Further down the page, quote, for those stalkers who cannot abandon the hope of restoring the relationship, the harassment at least provides some semblance of connectedness to the lost friend. For the rejected stalker who is predominantly angry and vengeful, the stalking seems aimed, in part, and continue in a relationship in which, for all their raging, they remain enmeshed. The stalking, in a sense, is a continuation of a relationship, the loss of which is too threatening, or which they remain bound by unresolved emotions and desires, made all the more compelling by their ambivalent nature. So in other words, for the rejected stalker, a part of the stalking is to maintain the sense of connection and closeness.
I love some Travis. So Travis, I'm going to put that up. So Travis says, wait, where is it? I was trying to highlight it. Here it goes. Travis says, rejected, resentful, intimacy seeker, incompetent, and what was the other one? Incompetent, and I can't see it. Was it predatory? What is it? Oh my God, now I can't see it. Go figure. I'll find it. Travis. Oh, here it goes. Yeah, predatory. See, I was right. There you go. So rejected, resentful, intimacy seeker, incompetent, and predatory are the 5 types. Thank you so much, Travis, because I do think that that's important.
With the victim, you. Let's talk about some of the psychopathology behind rejected stalkers. According to the research, quote, this type of stalker had high rates of personality problems.
Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, hell no. I didn't get this far, you guys. Let's rewind. Let's rewind to last night. There's so many things from last night that we see here, but this one I guess I should have expected, but I was not expecting this. If he goes into personality traits here, does everybody want to know what he's doing? That he literally, the thing that we watched last night, they're part 1 of this. Do you guys remember when he talked about fundamental attribution error? And remember, that's when you have the tendency to over-explain people's behavior using personality and then under-explaining it by not making excuses, but by looking into like their environmental factors. And he accused everybody of using fun. Yes. Who became a... Yes, thank you so much, whoever just subscribed. That was amazing. But do you guys remember that? Like, what?
With antisocial and narcissistic traits being particularly prominent.
What?
There was also a small but significant cluster with market dependency traits. So those are rejected stalkers. Let's move on to what they call the resentful stalker. So the rejected stalker part of this is the rejection of your friendship.
Okay.
Let's talk about the resentful stalker.
What?
The resentful stalker emerges where the stalker feels that they have been exposed to injustice or
Thor, you want to go out?
That was you calling her annoying in a private text.
Yeah.
So she is both a rejected and a resentful stalker. The victim of the resentful stalker is someone who has attracted the stalker's enmity by their own actions or by seen as representative of an oppressing group. The desire is for revenge, sometimes of a surreptitious nature. The sustaining motivation of the resentful stalker is satisfying the sense of power and control that comes from harassing the victim.
Wow.
The resentful stalker almost invariably...
He just said the power and control that goes into stalking the victim. That's crazy.
Feels justified in their actions, that's the moral part, and presents themselves as a victim, fighting back against a more powerful oppressor. That, by the way, is a narrative that many people have picked up on. Because you're the big creator,
yeah,
she must be the victim.
Right.
right? That's a
Yeah,
common
isn't it?
theme that seems to be out there. That somehow you're harassing her because by doing this, because
Upstairs.
she's the poor victim, right? That's what's resentful.
She's not a creator. She's just a person that
She's not a creator. She's just a person. That's so rude.
is a tourist at trials, and
She called her a trial tourist. Oh my God, we have to make trial tour shirts.
I'm the big podcaster.
Hi guys. Love you.
Let's dig a little bit deeper into the resentful stalker. Here are some clinical features
Hi,
of the
YouTube
resentful
bad
stalker.
actors.
Again, I'm reading from the
It's
text
okay.
from Stalkers and Their Victims,
Until
second
you said,
edition.
oh my God,
This is page
everybody's here.
76, quote, a context of conflict in which one party experiences themselves as a victim of injustice can give rise to stalking. This type of stalking is initially motivated by desire for retribution. The stalking is designed to frighten and distress the victim. The stalking becomes persistent because of the satisfaction the stalker obtains
Wow.
from the sense of power and control over someone who is in most cases has been previously regarded as being in a stronger and more privileged position.
Wait, what? Wouldn't that fit them? In my opinion.
In keeping with the stalker's perception of their victim as being more powerful, the more extended episodes of resentful stalking will often be pursued anonymously, at least initially.
Anonymously.
When this type of stalker is interviewed, they almost invariably present themselves not as an avenger, but as a victim who, in the process of defending themselves, is striking back at the oppressor. So, in other words, it's a moral crusade.
What?
She does this. She'll say, I'm just here. This isn't gossip. I'm just
trying to deal with the big bad wolf that's Lauren.
I'm just trying to present patterns she's had for so long.
Let's talk about psychopathology of the
Let's talk
resentful
about it.
stalker.
Hi, Possum.
Page
Fred.
77, quote, the pattern which emerged from personality testing suggested self-centered, immature individuals who are hostile, demanding, and argumentative. They overestimate themselves and they derogate others. That means they put others down.
Just in case you didn't know, we're all idiots. Okay, we're idiots.
Defensiveness and denial is rampant in this group. They tend to have poor frustration tolerance with high suppressed anger. Check, 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 check.
Exactly, but how doesn't that check off for Lauren? Like, where is the insight here, you guys?
Well, let me say on
Possum.
that issue,
Even John, I keep saying Lauren, and the thing is, John is doing a lot of the driving of the engine here. He is, for sure, in my opinion, putting a lot of this thought process into Lauren's head, right? Because I mean, I even said it last night when we were watching it. If she listened to half of what he said and really believed half of what he said, I could almost see how she gets panicked. But what is happening?
I don't know. Do I know for sure that she fits this category? No, I don't.
Oh, good. That was probably the most responsible thing we've heard him say yet.
Just looking at her behaviors, it seems like she fits some of this, but I'm not diagnosing here. Right?
He does sound like me there, but this is the thing. He literally does what I do. He literally just did what I usually do. How I say that I'm not diagnosing behavior, but I'm looking at a pattern of behavior. So I have to be fair. If I could say that for myself, I have enough insight to be like, okay, I get that. That was pretty, that was a normal thing to say. That was respectful.
I'm just reading from a textbook.
Difference here, you guys. When I do it, I'm not reading from a textbook.
Research.
I'm citing the research, right? I'm not saying necessarily that she fits this.
I'm citing the research too. Only, I don't have to read it.
So I think people can make that decision on their own. Let's go on. Page 77, next paragraph, quote, resentful stalkers as a group showed a marked tendency to consciously attempt to present themselves in a socially desirable light.
Mhm.
Perhaps fitting with our view that these people attempt to reach.
You two bad actors, have you heard this yet? Because I have not, and nor have I seen anybody cover it. And I am like in awe. They literally, like, if you guys just came in or anybody just came in, they literally said that they may bring this up in another state, like file it in another state where they might be more accepting of the charges. I was like, wait, what?
Project themselves as good victims battling the forces of evil. Let me repeat that because it fits everything we talked about
Yes,
earlier.
Travis, right?
Resentful stalkers fit the.
Okay, Travis is in the lead with the A comment right now by saying that this is cognitive bias. So, Travis, you're in the lead right now because we both remembered. I picked up that he was doing the fundamental attribution error, and you picked up on the cognitive bias, and both are from last night.
They fit with the view that they attempt to project.
Explore core. I don't know how to make a freaking emoji, but if you know how to make them, do it up if you want to. I am all about it. I am so easy to please.
Project themselves as good victims battling the forces
Hi,
of evil.
PK Val.
That's exactly how this is framed.
Lee, you haven't heard this then? People probably haven't heard this then.
Smear campaigns are framed.
Because I feel like you're very well versed.
The results of MMPI studies in 24 resentful stalkers supported the notion that these people regard themselves as misunderstood, mistreated, with low frustration tolerance, and difficulty with authority figures. Difficulty with authority figures. So taunting police, doing mic drops outside of courthouses, violating stalking injunctions within hours after they're served by police, telling the stalker, you cannot go within 500 feet of your victim, no matter what.
Oh, yes, I love the number one. Yes.
Those are some of the definitions.
Well,
So I've talked about the definitions of stalking.
Kim, I think I missed it, but I'll go back and look. But I'm so sorry about your mother's life was destroyed by a therapist who violated his ethics. And John is setting off all your alarm bells. Thank you for sharing that with us. You guys, I teach this class called Clinical Applications of Psychology, and it's like the beginning of counseling. And it like tells you like all the things you should do, all the things you shouldn't do. It's an amazing class. But one of the things I come to find out is that so many of my students have had horror stories and have had therapists that have crossed a boundary in some way. They've had everything from like cross boundaries to like therapists falling asleep during the session. I was like, what? I can't believe some of the things that we hear out there. But you guys, I have not heard this anywhere yet. So I feel like this is, in my mind, new to, and there's so many new things in here that I haven't heard. Like, I want to know, does Christina know that they're thinking about filing or were thinking about filing this in another state? Like, that's just messed up.
I've talked about the types of stalking. Now let's talk about victim impact.
Oh, I didn't see that comment. I'm sorry. So, wait, hold on. The comment just passed. Wait, let me go back. Lee says the MMPI is a self-reporting test. So the MMPI is the Minnesota Multifaceted Personality Inventory. It just sounds very fancy, but it's a standardized psychological assessment that absolutely is self-reported. So yes.
Before I get to victim impact, let me talk a little bit about, let's talk more about actually qualities of cyberbullies. So specifically about cyberbullies, there isn't a lot of research on adult cyberbullies, by the way, but there's enough. There's some interesting research. This is from a research.
That's because cyber stuff is only like 20 years old.
article entitled Systematic Review of Empirical Studies on Cyberbullying in Adults, What We Know and What We Should Investigate. This is by Gennaro et al. In the journal Aggression and Violent Behavior. This is 2018, so reasonably recent, volume 28. This is on page 118. Here are some of the qualities of cyberbullies. Quote, in a cyberbullying situation, the victims are affected. Several studies found that cyberbullies exhibit more psychological symptoms, including depression. So that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
They could be more depressed.
Hurt people. Like, what is it? I don't.
So they experience depression. They have more unemotional, impulsive, and psychopathic traits. They're high sensation seekers.
You're welcome.
And they sometimes engage in violent and drug crimes. The most interesting part of this to me is the depression, that they're unemotional, they're impulsive, and low.
He's literally describing symptoms of antisocial personality disorder. So let's see if we hear him say it.
Lo and behold, cyberbullies tend to have psychopathic traits, which means that they defy or oppose.
Psychopathic traits is antisocial personality disorder. We don't call it psychopathy in the DSM-5 TR, John. It's antisocial personality disorder.
It's authority figures.
I'm just kidding, you guys. It really is, but I was just joking. I'm not really like that.
Quote, they also scored high on internet use,
What are you saying?
showed a lack of social skills, problematic alcohol use, and, not surprisingly, low empathy towards their cyberbullying victims. So cyberbullies are unemotional, they lack empathy, they're impulsive.
This is the problem. If Christina lacked empathy, she would have never made a TikTok. The reason she made the TikTok is because this is another thing. I hate that these two over here, that they could, it's like they want it two ways, right? So think about it. If either she was a rejected stalker who thought that she had more of a friendship with Lauren than Lauren had with her. So either she was more emotionally attached to Lauren, or the opposite, like he's saying here, that there's no empathy or anything at all. But you can't have it both ways. So why are we presenting both and saying that it's both? That doesn't even make any sense. You can't have it both ways. Yes, they're pointing this at Christina, and it's nasty. Wow. And none of this portrays Christina. Thank you for saying that. And the bottom line is this, you guys. You can't have it both ways. I don't know why he thinks that he could have it both ways here, but this is like infuriating to me. Infuriating.
Have psychopathic traits. They may have some depression.
If she made a TikTok because she was like upset and was exposing Lauren, you don't expose somebody out of no emotion.
Let's talk about
Awesome.
impact.
Hi, Diane. Yeah, he's calling her names.
How does cyberbullying impact its victims? This is an extraordinary. This is an extraordinary study.
I have to say, for all those people saying bring the
I bet,
receipts, Dr. John's bringing the research receipts.
I'm bringing the research receipts, right?
Well, thank God I do too.
You brought the actual receipts. I'm bringing the research receipts. This is true.
I just don't have to read from them, is what I was saying. I still have them. But I hate that they make it sound like they're the only people. And again, that's what that, like last night with that moral crusade and everything. It's that like even the attribution error, right? Like, you guys, they blame everything else. It's nothing. It's not them. It's everyone else. It's all of us.
From a well-known article in the American Psychologist. The American Psychologist, by the way, is one of the premier journals for psychologists. It's from 2017.
Okay, so I teach research methods, and if you were citing something from 2017, I might take it because it's within 10 years, but it's really cutting at the line, and I would want it to be something that was original as opposed to something like if there's updated research on whatever it is he's about to read, it just not invalidates, but lessens the validity and reliability here.
Volume 72, it's Underwood and Ehrenreich. It's called The Power and Pain of Adolescence's Digital Communication, Cyber Victimizations, and the Pearls of Larky.
Wait, did he say children?
It's called The Power and Pain of Adolescence's Digital Communications.
Oh, the adolescence. Isn't she like 50?
Cyber Victimizations, and the Pearls of Larky. Okay.
Jamie, that's funny.
Admittedly, I'm going to frame this by saying, admittedly, this is pertaining to adolescence, okay? But I'm sure this has application to adults.
Sure it does.
Relying on survey.
Oh, well, at least he acknowledged that it was for adolescents. But then did you hear how he said, I'm sure it applies to adults? Just because you're sure doesn't mean that it applies to adults. But I do think that it was good that he did identify that it wasn't necessarily for adults. Like the research, he keeps saying he has research receipts. So my thing is, you couldn't find research on adults. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you showing us research on kids from almost 10 years ago? Where's the adult receipts? See, that's the thing. When you brag about bringing receipts and a researcher watches it and you're, going after people criminally for things that you've done just in the 9-hour live. Like, what?
About the frequency.
They made me cry last night, so I'm just kidding. They didn't make me cry. I made myself cry. But you guys know what I mean. I got so emotional last night. Thank you all for having my back last night. You guys were amazing. I don't know what got into me.
Of cyber
Shut up, truth.
stalking may keep us from understanding that although cyber aggression may be an extremely low base rate event, so even among adolescents, cyber stalking and cyber aggression is fairly low. That's good news, right?
Okay.
Good point.
Since I stopped in the middle of that, I'll go again. Although cyber aggression may be an extremely low base event, it hurts terribly even if it only happens once. This is according to their survey. The impact of even a single episode is potentially extremely serious because the behavior is immediately viewed by hundreds of friends and followers and is preserved forever in digital form. I can't tell you how much that impacted you, and they're proving it.
Well, one reason we chose to not say this person's name and to blur her on the TikToks, which we didn't need to do, was because of that understanding. We're not.
All right, I probably shouldn't say this, but couldn't it be just as likely that she blurred Christina's picture because Christina is young and attractive and, hi Lucy, young and attractive and engaging, like she's very charismatic. So what do you guys think? Put a 1 in chat if you think that that they blurred Christina. How would I word this? Put a 1 if you think it's because they were protecting Christina, and put a 2 if you think that Lauren was trying to protect herself.
I'm going to do that.
Correct.
Unreal.
But this research,
She appeared publicly. She wanted everyone to find her. She was working on algorithms. She admits it on the
Yeah.
TikTok. Come join me. Send the word. Spread the word. Here we are. And we still didn't do that because we understand that what that means. We didn't
I
want
got
to
you.
We
do
went
that.
through it. We went through it. But I mean,
Yeah,
like,
right?
this is extraordinary because when people mock you about whether this is cyberbullying,
Hi, Gutter Snipe.
when people say
In arm
team,
hands.
Team Lawrence and Joe, I don't know what
CC.
they're saying. I don't care. But the point, like, this data, this research that shows, I'm going to read it again because it's so, the impact of even a single episode is potentially extremely serious because the behavior is immediately viewed by hundreds of friends and followers and is preserved forever in digital form. Not to mention which, the internet is open 24/7.
Yeah.
So any threats or any posts on social media can happen at any time of the day or night. There were times when you would wake up at 3 a.m. and go, is there a post? Is there a post? What does she say
Oh
now?
my God.
Is she threatening me now?
Lee, that is such a good point. Lee, this is a good comment too. They all are. You guys are really good. But you showed the dates, times, and body cam. Also, all her circle of friends, so it was easy to find her. 1,000%. Not only did they do that, but in the 9-hour live, so everybody, I don't think anybody put a 1. YouTube ad actors did it first and then immediately put 2 because I guess realized what I said. So it was like unanimous too. So I almost felt bad saying that at first or like asking that at first, but I'm glad that I did because it just was very clear to me that that was not to protect Christina, right? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so, you guys.
But this explains why even a single episode of cyberbullying can be traumatic.
Right
Because
here,
the fear is that it's going to be built by thousands, hundreds or thousands of people, and it's never going to be.
hundreds or thousands? What about 316,000 people? Hundreds? You're worried about hundreds? Like, that's like the part that, I don't know, that just makes me so annoyed.
Erased. It's going to exist forever. This is exceptionally important.
Like, what? I agree, but on the opposite side.
Let's talk about more victim impact. I'm going to read from an article called A Developmental Approach to
Oh my God, Calissa. That is horrific, and I'm sorry that happened.
Cyberbullying Prevalence and Protective Factors. It's by Kowalski et al.
Oh, another one.
Aggression and Violent Behavior, 2019, volume 45. This is on page 22.
Oh, well, Casey. That's interesting. So Casey says, no, this isn't. No, this is on speaker, but I don't know if this was like a Patreon. And I don't even know how I found this. Well, I do. I like searched for both of them and like just started clicking through things and came up on this. And I was like, part 2. I was like, what the hell is this? So, but I don't know why my friends haven't even talked about it. Seriously, I don't know. Like, is it, I didn't know. It just came out of nowhere. So I played it and was like, oh, damn, it's them. So I literally was like, I need to go live with this. Like, well, and again, one of the big things for me was as soon as at first I was going to wait for tomorrow, but then they said about possibly opening this up in other states. They didn't even say another state. I take that back from what I said before. They said other states that they could open it up to where they'll look at the language differently and find it a crime. That's unbelievable. But Casey makes a really good point. Casey tells us that, she wonders if they're framing this like in a cyber way to make it a federal crime. Could you imagine? I was actually wondering if they were doing it. Like, I think you're right, Casey, but I was thinking the opposite. Like maybe they were going to cyber now because everyone, like, there was backlash and, like, people were like, she wasn't even near you. She was in Europe or whatever when all this happened. What are you talking about? So I'm like, maybe they're saying cyber now because of the TikTok, so they're trying to transition to that. But you're probably right because chances are in that body cam we watched, they were talking about how they thought it was federal.
Outcomes of cyberbullying. Quote, researchers have consistently found that cyberbullying is associated with a variety of negative consequences for both victims and perpetrators. Among the negative consequences experienced by victims are higher levels.
Yeah, everybody like this and share it because I feel like this, I don't remember seeing this anywhere.
Levels of anxiety, depression, loneliness, greater suicidal ideation, lower levels of self-esteem, and poor academic performance.
Stalker was used 440 times in the 9-hour show, says PK Val.
Every one of those applies to you. I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to return to the textbook, Criminal Behavior. I'm going to give their runner summary of psychological effects of stalking, specifically cyber stalking. Page 523 of Criminal Behavior by Bardo and Bardo. Quote, not only does the cyber attack cause psychological damage to the self-esteem and self-image of the victim, but the message may be immediately viewed and forwarded by friends and other peers repeatedly over time. That's the point about how one incident can be so damaging. I think it's important to understand that if you bully someone at school, if you taunt them at school, it may be captured by other people on cell phones, but for the most part, it's a one-time thing and it goes away.
No,
and I'm not minimizing that.
That's not true.
Horrible. But cyber stalking goes on over and over and over again.
Did he just say you might?
Can't minimizing that. Bully someone at school, if you taunt them at school, it may be captured by other people on cell phones, but for the most.
So, in what world does he think that a kid's, I just wanted to rewind it to make sure that he said cell phone. In what world does a kid capture it on a cell phone and not upload it to social media? Or pass it around to friends? Like, what are you talking about?
For the most part, it's a one-time thing and it goes away. And I'm not minimizing that.
We are in the classroom. Listen up, you're right.
But cyber stalking goes on over and over and over again.
You can't escape it.
Can't escape it. Research studies often report that the overall effects of cyberbullying on the victim include anxiety disorders, sleep problems, loneliness, depression, substance abuse, poor academic achievement, low life satisfaction, and extreme cases, suicide attempts. Check, 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 and check.
Wow.
So I've covered the definitions and criteria of stalking. I've covered the types of stalking. I've covered victim impact. I've covered some of the psychological characteristics of the stalker, especially
what about that?
Stalkers. Let's move on to what I think is really critically important in understanding stalking.
Can you guys still hear?
Psychology of stalking.
I'm looking at this, and you told me about this part, and this is important.
Clearly, this is going to take a long time.
Yeah. And he was making fun of my 9-hour live. Dr. John is ready. He's like, hold my Coca-Cola. Here we go.
You guys, it is.
Hold my iced tea. So I put up a diagram from a book called The Psychology of Stalking, Clinical and Forensic Perspectives. It's edited by J. Reed Malloy. This happens to be from his chapter in the book, from the chapter by J. Reed Malloy. J. Reed Malloy is one of my psychologist heroes. He's brilliant. He's done a tremendous amount of research on psychopaths, early research on psychopaths. He's done a lot of research on the psychology of stalking. He's a brilliant guy.
Crazy.
I'm going to, if you look at the schematic I put up, I'm going to talk about his theory, borne out by research and evidence, of stalking. So for Malloy, stalking begins with what he calls a narcissistic linking fantasy.
This is so interesting to me. Okay. Guys, she was explaining this to me, and I was like, oh, okay.
They're like, oh, crap.
Okay, here we go. A narcissistic linking fantasy.
You'll see on the schematic that under the it says narcissistic linking fantasy, and some of the typical narcissistic linking fantasies they're listed by Malloy: special, loved, idealized, admired by, superior to, destined to be with the object. So what does he mean by a narcissistic linking fantasy? What he means essentially is that someone with narcissistic features that's very self-absorbed creates a fantasy that links them to the stalked object. The stalked object in most cases is a person. The narcissistic linking fantasy, so there's a link between the personality, often with narcissistic features. That's how people become so obsessed, because they're narcissistic, right? They're obsessed and they're narcissistic. They create a link to this fantasy of the object. Those fantasies revolve around feelings. I'll read it.
Yeah.
Page 18 from The Psychology of Stalking by J. Reid Malloy. Quote, the general dynamic begins with the individual forming in her mind a narcissistic linking fantasy to a particular object. Such fantasies are characterized by conscious thoughts of being loved by or loving, admired by or admiring, in parentheses, idealizing, being exact.
But why does it say part 2? Is it just the second part of the response that we didn't get to, and that's why I didn't recognize it? Because I am like, what the heck?
Like, in parentheses, mirroring or complementing, in parentheses, twinship.
Because we did not get through that whole video.
Or sharing a destiny with a particular object or person, in parentheses, merger. So I'm going to read this again without the parentheses.
But just in case anybody is listening and not like looking, just so that people know, La Copa es de la Vega, I don't even know how to say it, is the name of the podcast. And it's all their content.
Such fantasies, narcissistic linking fantasies for particular objects, such fantasies are characterized by conscious thoughts of being loved by or loving, admired by or admiring, being exactly like or complementing or sharing a destiny with a particular object or person. So you begin with a narcissistic linking fantasy. I'm gonna start with that, okay? Because that's the basis of stalking. But let's I'm gonna switch lanes a little bit here because I'm gonna come back to this, but I'm gonna switch lanes. So I'm gonna swerve a little bit here, and I'm gonna talk about an Eminem song from 2000 called "Stan." Stan is basically a combination of a fan and a
Wait, what is that?
stalker, and the song is specifically about a fan who becomes a stalker because presumably Eminem or a celebrity won't respond to this person's emails.
Oh my God, he is not talking about Stan from Eminem, is he? That's so crazy if he is, because I actually do this thing in class, in my family violence class, and this is one of the songs that we do, and then we talk about it after.
The reason I bring this up is because 2 of the detectives in Colorado that were responsible for executing the stalking order, they talked to you and Grayson afterwards, and they both referred to the TikToker as a fangirl. In fact, I wrote it down because Grayson told me what they said. One of the detectives said, I think this is a fangirl who rode yours. I think this is a fangirl who rode your coattails for a bit and then fell off, and now she's very angry about it.
What?
So this is important because although I don't really see you or us as celebrities, like in our little niche, in our little true crime niche, people know us, right? So it doesn't really matter whether we're not Brad Pitt, we're not Angelina Jolie, right? Like obviously we're not famous, but in our little niche, people know us. And that, by the way, is sufficient. That's sufficient to have someone fangirl you. Or me, I guess, to some degree. By the way, you get recognized all the time in public. Yesterday or last week was...
Okay, so YouTube ad actor said that this could be or might be the same live that we were doing the other day. However, he says fangirl. So I did what Krusha taught me how to do that Control F or whatever. And in the transcript, and I plugged in fangirl, and there's 4 times in the transcript that it says fangirl. I mean, maybe this is part of, no, well, this is actually shorter than the one on YouTube. And it doesn't have that. I mean, I'm trying to find where it is on the script. So that would be important. So if somebody does find that, let me know, because I'm trying to follow and see if I could see where it would be in the script.
The first time somebody recognized, I was at a Trader Joe's.
They were like, is your wife the one that did that crazy 9-hour live?
No, that was before. I was wearing a mask. I was wearing a mask in Trader Joe's because I thought nobody would recognize me, and I don't want to get sick because Trader Joe's is kind of a tight space. But somebody came up to me and they're like, "Are you Dr. John with Hidden True Crime?" And I'm like,
I see this. Hold on.
Maybe.
Who's that?
I don't know.
I'm gonna say schedule, gotta go.
It is.
Anyway,
You were very flattered.
I was flattered. She was very kind. I just thanked her for watching us. I told her I was very appreciative that she recognized me and watched us. But
it doesn't happen a lot.
It doesn't happen a lot. It happened once with me. My point is, though, that although you're not a celebrity at a major level, you're a celebrity enough to the TikToker.
Okay, so watch this. Hold on, you guys. Thank you so much, YouTube ad actors, because let's be honest, we would all probably rather watch it anyway. But I am so glad that you noticed that, and I could not. I'm actually glad that we have heard this, but just in case anybody doesn't know that this is the link to that podcast, and it seems like it has all of their stuff on there. But I'm so glad that you brought that up. But what's their part 1 then? Is the part 1 the Patreon? That's what I'm confused about. Like, what's part 1? So I found where we were in that live.
She was very kind. I just thanked her for watching us. I told her I was very appreciative that she recognized me and watched us. But
it doesn't happen a lot.
It doesn't happen a lot. It happened once with me. My point is, though, that although you're not a celebrity at a major level, you're a celebrity enough to the TikToker that detectives are applying this label fangirl. So that brings me to, I talked earlier about psychological essentialism as a category, psychological essentialism. Now I'm going to talk about something called life force essentialism. Life force essentialism is different than category essentialism.
So Cuff You, part 2 is behind a Patreon wall. It's an hour long, but why did they have that? Wait till you hear this, Dr. Vona. Oh, so there's a part coming up. So this is the thing, you guys. This part is on YouTube. So I am glad about that. I couldn't believe it when I was listening to it. I don't know why I didn't remember. I guess because I was like so emotional last night. I must have just, I don't know. Is this the one from Patreon? I'm not sure now. So I just switched back over to YouTube because I did find the spot in YouTube. Hi, Fancy Nancy. Hi, Cindy. I did find the spot. No, this is just on their channel, Cindy. Okay, thank you so much, YouTube Bad Actors, and I'm actually glad that you noticed that before we did the entire thing like that, because now we at least see, their reactions.
In the sense that I can't find my notes.
Oh, he can't
there
find
it
his
is.
notes.
Life force.
I got his notes down, guys. They're all spread out. I'm like, there you go. Life force essentialism. Boom.
I'm doing a good job of managing them.
Does he always need his
You are. You're doing great.
Life force essentialism is different than category essentialism in the
Oh my
sense
God,
that
you guys, that makes me think that he always is. Does he always looking at notes?
life force essentialism, people see things and objects as having an underlying essence. And oftentimes that underlying
Cuff you, that would be awesome. But let's finish this one now tonight, because we didn't get to this part yesterday. And then maybe we could do, like, me and you could figure that out, and we could do that one tomorrow.
essence might be seen as having special properties. So like an example of that would be, let's say,
And I can make it faster on this one.
that Ohtani, who plays for the Dodgers, hits the game-winning home run in the World Series that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
The baseball that he hits, hypothetically,
this
right?
worked out better.
The World Series hasn't been played. The baseball that he hits, let's say the baseball he hits to win the World Series in 2025 is caught by a fan, right? Let's say it's caught by a kid. That baseball now has a lot of value. That's a baseball that, if you just bought it off the shelf, would be like $5, right? But because Ohtani hit it, it now acquires what's called life force essentialism. It requires a special property, this almost magical property of having been hit by Ohtani to win the World Series, right? It requires this life force quality that people want and they're willing to pay for.
It's
So
baseball. It's baseball.
it's a baseball.
It's a baseball.
It's just a
because it's
baseball,
special.
right? But it's now worth millions of dollars because people attribute these magical properties to it, or these special properties to it, right? The same thing is true of celebrities. So
When I was a teen, I saved the pen that a singer signed with backstage.
right, because you thought it had special qualities. And
Right.
so this is one of the reasons why people want to associate with celebrities. So for example, I remember years ago, there was some celebrity auction where I think George Clooney was like auctioning off one of his sweaters or something. And so, and somebody paid like $250,000 for that. The sweater by itself was probably worth $100.
Nancy said you are.
I don't know, maybe it's George Clooney.
Yeah, but-
$500, right? But because George Clooney wore it, people perceive
Nancy, they just, like, in a nutshell, they have their name of their channel is Hidden True Crime, and he is a licensed psychologist and she is a true crime reporter, and they have 316,000 followers. And another woman who had like 50 followers, her and them two get into like a fight and their friendship breaks up, and the other one starts posting TikToks about Lauren, and Lauren gets mad and gets a stalking injunction that eventually gets dropped. It's just a lot.
that it had special properties, and they bought it for $250,000. And guess what?
But if you get bored, I have an entire playlist.
The person who bought it said, "I will never wash this
Oh,
sweater,"
we're discord.
because the idea somehow is that even though it's the same damn sweater,
George Clooney might have sweating it now.
right?
You know,
Because George Clooney's DNA is on this thing, the person's never going to wash it because they feel like they have some connection to George Clooney, right? So if they wear that sweater, they're like, "Hey, I'm George Clooney," right? Or whatever. So, but that's called life force essentialism. And the reason I mention that is because when we think about
Turning a
this
molehill
idea of a
into a mountain,
narcissistic
right?
linking fantasy, this idea of life force essentialism is part of that fantasy. The fantasy is that if you're, as the detective said, if someone is fangirling someone, they're trying to get some of that essence. So I think there's the part of this
Oh, I'm
narcissistic linking
glad we have this too, because you could see where they edited it.
fantasy for the TikToker here has to do with this idea of being
You know
a,
what?
let's call it a pseudo stan or a
At least he started saying TikToker.
semi-stan, right? It has to do with the fact that all the detectives in Colorado that talked to you about the situation, they saw the TikToker as a fangirl. That's how they defined her, right? And so
Wait, coming
it's interesting
from
that
Brad Pitt's fan.
there's this fantasy
club.
here about whatever the special quality you have, it's going to rub off on her. And that's part of this. That's part of this idea of not wanting to lose that connection to you.
He literally tells us.
And
that he was
having said that,
fangirling
I think
for Brad Pitt.
if we're going to talk about the psychology of
I
stalking,
didn't mean to say fangirling. He said that he was fanning, or I don't know what he said, but he said like that he was. What did he say that he was having? Like he said he was like fanning out or whatever for Brad Pitt in the beginning, something along those lines. But isn't that the same thing? And again, why is it okay for somebody, you know, for him and not for someone else?
there's some elements here
Thor
that
says
there's
hi,
been some
everyone.
research on stands
Thor.
that we need to talk
Oh my
about.
God.
So some of the elements that they found
Thor.
that
Come here, buddy.
create stands that
Okay.
engage in this type of celebrity worship or even fangirl people at a lower level.
Thor, can you please get down? Come here, Thor. Thor, come here, buddy. You just want some attention? Come here, Thor. Thor, come on. It's okay. Oh my God. He thinks that there's someone outside and there's not.
Like you,
I apologize, you guys.
they found that an insecure parent-child attachment is typically common in stands. They found that parental absence, so not even abuse, not neglect, not
think
childhood
so.
trauma, just parental absence. So one parent, one or the other, or both parents can be absent more than usual.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The presumption
thank you.
here is obviously that if a parent is absent or not giving a child enough attention, it could be that you grow up in a really big family and maybe one of the parents isn't as available.
You probably
The presumption
think
is
it's
that the reason you
only
stalk
that
celebrities
don't you?
or you fangirl pseudo-celebrities or semi-celebrities is because you're trying to make up for that parental absence. You're trying to engage with a parental figure or a special figure that somehow is going to give you something you didn't have when you were a child.
Calissa says, just like Nick Reiner, he's making up a fictional story. I did hear that. And it's infuriating because, oh wait, and it infuriates me because their kids thought gems believe this nonsense. So the point there is that I've also heard that, like, I haven't watched his Nick Reiner stuff, but I heard that he does do that.
There's another, it was a study in Hong Kong
PK Vale
that
said
looked at
this is stupid. I'm sorry, PK Vale.
adolescents who engaged in celebrity worship. And what they found
maybe I
was
Go mom
a
point.
couple of things. The subject in the study who did not
Because I do want to see
have any
their
particular
kids and
preference
how
for
he gets
celebrities
back to
tended to
Friday.
have fairly high confidence and fairly high self-esteem. The kids who went after celebrities and engaged the stands, who engaged in more celebrity worship, they had a weaker sense of self and lower self-confidence. The absorption addiction model says that stands or fangirls or fanboys, whatever, stands pursue parasocial relationships. So in other words, not real significant, not relationships where you know someone. Stands pursue parasocial.
Okay, that right there, you guys, is not true. He just said it. He said a parasocial relationship is a relationship where you don't know the person, but they do know Christina. Like I said, Lauren says that she took Christina's kids to the pool the one day. Like, she even said that they were friends. So now you can't say that they were like this, pseudo
relationships to make up for shortages in their real lives. And in that pursuit, they end up losing themselves. That's called.
You guys, come on. Are you serious? People could say that what we all have with each other is a parasocial relationship because we haven't met each other and stuff. But I'd like to think, and maybe I'm just being naive, but I'd like to think that most of us here are good people. And oh my God. Yes, thank you. So, oh my God. Wow, that is huge. Jane Doe just sent 10 mind. I can't even say it. Our channel memberships. Calissa's a member. Kay Arlene's a member. Tabitha, Kathy, Tamara, Lyndon, Emerald. Oh my God, this is so exciting. Ditka, is that how I say it? And wait, where else are we? We have another one here. Oh no, where did it go? Oh, here it goes. Galacticness and Kathleen. Wow, that's a lot. That is so generous of you. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. My heart's like brum, 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 brum. Thank you. Get it together, Jane. Get it together. Thank you so much. And hopefully everybody out there that received one of the very, very, very generous memberships, I'll say thank you. That was so nice of you. Wow. Thank you. Here, I'm going to put this up there because StreamYard doesn't do it another way. So that's how they do it, which is weird, but we're going to put that up there. I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Stands in general.
That's called the absorption addiction model.
Yes,
I think we see elements of that
gifts
here.
are enabled on your account there.
That I think in some ways that, a lot of people have said online, get a life, grow up, right?
Harlot,
That's saying
there
the
you
same
go.
thing.
Thank you,
That's saying
Harlot.
whatever's going on in this TikToker's life,
Wow.
that it's somehow deficient.
When it comes to media law, I think that I would define myself a limited public figure. Anyway, keep going. People can disagree
Well,
with that,
thank
but
you, Jeannie.
legally speaking.
But it's the same dynamic.
Mhm.
The point is, it's the same dynamic that fangirling anyone is this attempt to make up for deficits in someone's
Sure.
life.
Yeah.
There's a woman, her name is Amanda Montel. She wrote a book called The Age of Magical Overthinking. This is going to be a quote from her book, page 24. She's talking about celebrity worship. This doesn't refer to you. This just refers to her thoughts in general.
In general.
Quote Montel, quote, page 24. In both the public and private spheres, worship is dehumanizing. To be deified is not so flattering. The dynamic risks annihilating a person's room for complexity and blunders, and this sets everyone up for suffering.
Wow. It's really fascinating. Worship is dehumanizing.
good,
You're looking at the book. Can I just see the book?
Yeah.
I want to hold it up. Keep reading. Keep going.
So let me read that again. So some of the dehumanization in this smear campaign is the fact that you're portrayed as evil, right? Like that
So now he's saying that the smear campaign is that she's being deemed as evil.
labeled psychological essentialism. They've taken certain texts or whatever and private texts, and they've labeled you evil. And then
To
there's
sum
this
up exactly
moral
who I am.
crusade.
Yeah.
But there's other ways you can dehumanize, and one of them is by portraying someone as something they're not giving them the room to, as she says, not giving them the room to be complex and to make blunders. If you don't give someone the room to be complex and to make blunders, you, according to her, I agree, you set everyone up for suffering because you're not defining it as a real relationship.
Yeah.
You're defining it as
Wait, what? Lauren and Grayson spent the night at Christina's house. She had her kids sleep with her so they could each have their own bed. But Grayson and Lauren wanted to sleep together. Allegedly. But what?
cliched, right? Rigid, narrow relationship. And if you do that, so if you're fangirling someone and the relationship turns out to be not what you expected, there's a lot of room in there for disappointment. There's a lot of room in there for anger. There's a lot of room to turn against someone because that relationship is turning out not to be what you wanted. And so now that I'm thinking about this, I'm actually going to read.
Oh, here we go.
I'm going to read another quote from Amanda's book, Act Like
This
I Know
is
Her.
really interesting. You did not talk about this.
Act Like I Know Her. I don't know her.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting book.
Good morning, the
That's true. I see
Breaker,
celebrities
wherever you're
dehumanized
from.
all the time. Real celebrities.
I guess it's
Here's what
kind
she
of morning
says.
here too because it's 1 a.m. You guys, he's going to quote again.
It's just a sentence. It's simple, but I think it's totally relevant to our discussion. Quote, page 21.
Oh, thank
Quote,
you.
Nearly every Stan worship A-lister has seen their flock's mania pervert overnight from devotion to disdain. Some of the people she talks about, Beyonce.
Who is exceptionally private.
There's so many. Charlie XCX. There's so many, right? Like if you're
You
an
just
A-list,
said
if you're a
SCX.
Stan worship A-lister, loved by your flock, loved by your group, you can literally go overnight from devotion to disdain based
The
upon
original
one
truth.
mistake, right? And I think you're not an A-list celebrity, right? Like, but the point is, like, part of this campaign is to try to flip that script. Part of this campaign is to try to get your flock to go from devotion to disdain.
But they're the ones with 316,000 subscribers that are listening to them right now with all of their books and research and everything else. Do linguistic gymnastics. I don't know. Like, really?
By dehumanizing you, by not giving you any room for complexity, not giving you any room for vulnerability, not giving you any room for
Thank
blunder,
you
as
so
she puts
much
it.
for subscribing. Wow.
And
You guys are so great.
fortunately, our viewers are astute and they see through that. But,
You're right.
but that's part of this.
Yeah. Your gems, not minions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Our gems, not minions. Yeah, I know. Right. Let's go back. No, let's return. So I talked about this idea of stands and what creates a stand, and this really important idea of life force essentialism in terms of, right, you want to buy the celebrity's
Aw.
sweater so that you can feel like you're getting some of that special quality, right?
Yeah.
I think we have a new A comment. That was so cool. So, Janie Doe says to Explore Corps, who was very generous the other night and gifted memberships, that she was thinking since the beginning of the live how to pay forward Explore Corps' gifted membership. That was like so amazing. You guys, we're all so civilized. It's weird. But like a good weird.
I don't know how someone can afford a sweater for $250,000, but
But hey, someone did, and they love it. So
okay.
They admitted it.
Let's go back to our diagram. So it begins with a
here we
narcissistic
go.
linking fantasy or life force
He said,
essentialism.
let's go back to our diagram. It was like poof.
And then you go to what he calls acute or chronic rejection. So you have a fantasy, you have rejection. The rejection leads to feelings of shame or humiliation, which is then defended
Lauren,
against with
I want
rage.
you guys, when they're talking about this, so let's go through with Lauren, right? So acute or chronic rejection, which she's feeling, she literally tells us that these like the seven, does anybody remember what they're called? I know when they say hidden gems, I'm like, who calls people that? Like, you're my gems. You're my hidden gems. I don't know that I'd want to be called a hidden gem. I just call you guys fam. You're my fam. My online fam. My dysfunctional family, or part of my dysfunctional family, because let's be honest, even at home, we put the fun in dysfunction here too. But yes, they call them hidden gems. That's the name of their group membership. So anyway, let's look at narcissistic linking fantasy. So special, loved, idealized, admired by, superior to, destined to be with the object. So think about, put this in the sense of like the opposite. So if they're going to pose it for Christina, I feel like you need to look at all of the things and pose it also for Lauren in this case, in my opinion, allegedly. So let's look at acute or chronic rejection. She tells us that she feels rejected by these girls. She tells us that she even said that by the end of the one trial, she was ostracized and didn't know why. So I don't even know why I have to say allegedly, because she literally tells us that. Then go to feelings of shame and humiliation. The 9-hour live, right? That was her feeling humiliated and feeling like she had to go through the evidence to show us that, like to show us or to convince us that she had a point. And then defending against with rage. Okay, rage, I don't know about rage, but she's heavily defended. I mean, have we ever seen her rageful? Like, would you consider her? I mean, this is the thing though. So in my eyes, maybe not, but in Lauren's eyes, like in her definition of what's considered rage, yes, she probably has been rageful, allegedly, right? And then feels behavioral pursuit to hurt or control or to damage or destroy. You can argue that by her and John now doing multiple lives and then putting another one on Patreon where it didn't occur to them that somebody in opposition to them might become a member for a month so that they could download the Patreon and listen to it. I don't know why they weren't thinking that. But they're literally all over YouTube trying to, and in the courts trying to destroy, if you will, Christina. They're calling her a stalker 440 times in that 9-hour live. Like, that's just uncalled for. And then restores narcissistic linking fantasy. So at the end of the chain, that's what it leads to. So again, that lack of insight and the lack of connection that this person is making, right?
Which then leads to behavioral pursuit. That's the stock.
Alan, hello. And I think you have to do the @ sign first. And as soon as you start, hi, Teresa. As soon as you put the @ sign, if you're like on a computer and like you put the first letter, it'll come up and then you just click on it.
It fuels behavioral.
What is the psychology of Lauren? Thinking she owns the story she covers, such as the Valor Daybell case. So what are you saying? I kind of want to make that its own live stream because I do behavior breakdowns with, all the people I cover. However, let me give you, since you're asking, a little bit of a inside. Again, I'm everybody because they have 316,000 subscribers and how many for lawyers and stuff so I just have to cover myself. This is for educational purposes only, just my opinion, and based on my own 20 plus years of teaching various courses in psychology at the university and college levels. The behavior I see is consistent with that of narcissistic personality. And I'm just, even histrionic personality. So we're still in cluster B. So there's three clusters of personality disorders, A, B, and C. So there's 10 personality disorders. There's 3 in A, 3 in C, 4 in B. So 4 right in the middle there. So the thing that cluster B shares is what we call odd and eccentric behavior. And the 4 that fall under cluster B is narcissistic, histrionic, borderline, and antisocial. And they all share commonalities, but there's so many things that make them different. Here, I don't know if there could be signs of borderline behavior in that. For borderline personality disorder, at the core is abandonment. And you might say, I listened to parts of the, what was it called? The Mormon stories, is it called? Excuse me if I'm wrong. But on that podcast, I watched bits and pieces of 2 parts. I was I'm going to be complete honest. I was cleaning and doing laundry and stuff. So I didn't hear everything, but I feel like I heard enough to hypothesize that there were times throughout Lauren's life that she felt abandoned by other people, including her dad, in my opinion, allegedly, right? Because he winds up going away. And it's almost especially when you're raised in we'll get into that another time. My point being is that could, we could be dealing with something like that, but also you could have borderline personality, histrionic, and narcissistic. You can have antisocial, you can have all of that cluster be, that's very odd that you would have all of them. But the truth is that I see bits and pieces or different symptoms, and maybe we will do a live where I pull them up and we look through them because I haven't seen enough to really say for sure, but I feel like I've seen enough to say that I see clear narcissistic traits. And with the narcissism, I always say think of childlike behavior, and narcissist is childlike very much. They're not as secure as they make themselves seem. They're actually, they have that insecurity at their core. There's just so much. And, with histrionic, that could be her thinking that Liz's poisonous donuts and her voicemail was a huge threat. None of us thought that Liz sounded threatening. Liz herself tells us that she's not calling to threaten. She was just calling because she really wants to know, what did she do wrong type thing. So, but Lauren then perceives it as a threat, which you could say could be indicative of histrionics. Yes, definitely histrionics on both sides here, feeding off one another, causing the heightened frenzy. Oh my God, tambourine. It never occurred to me to flip it on the other side because I haven't seen as much as Christina's stuff, But Lauren constantly is calling her a narcissist, and John is constantly saying that she's antisocial, or he calls it sociopathic. Um, it would be interesting for me to look at it, but I hear she's a wonderful woman. Um, but I'd have to look into that. That's interesting. Interesting.
Pursuit. The behavioral pursuit is intended to hurt, to control, to
Yes,
damage,
never
or
going to
destroy.
look at their own behavior.
Only after the target, you,
So Calissa says only Lauren, apparently Lauren has been this way for over 20 years. Calissa, you just validated for me that we're probably dealing with a personality disorder, allegedly, in my opinion. The difference, you guys, between a personality disorder and the rest of the disorders that we study in the DSM-5 TR is, and TR is just text revision, but and no, I didn't say that because I think anybody doesn't know like that, but nobody who would know. It's for diagnosing and psychology. You know what I mean? So anyway, when we look at that, we have, like, it's thick. I'll have to show it one day on camera for you guys, but there's a huge section. I probably could pull it up one night too because I'm a member of the APA, and that's the author. Most of it is all of the different disorders that we see, and then the only disorder that falls on a different axis, there's 5 axes. I'm not going to give a whole lecture, but it's separated from the rest of the disorders. And that's because it's long-standing, pervasive over time. So it's very hard to diagnose a personality disorder in everyday people because it's hard to get somebody with a personality disorder to even go to therapy. Ones that we see most often, like where we do see somebody going for help, is with borderline personality. In my opinion, that's where we'll see most. But let's say you have somebody that's like narcissistic and antisocial, something like that. A lot of times, those things only get diagnosed after somebody's been arrested for a crime and, they're being studied because the judge, not studied, but have like an evaluation because a judge orders it, right? It's court ordered. So without that, think about it. If you know somebody in your life, like somebody said their ex-husband is antisocial, and this is the thing, you guys, about 1%, 1 to 2% of the population has antisocial personality. And then you could look at narcissism and, there's just enough people in the population that we know that within these personality disorders, that there's like a spectrum, if you will, where let's just take antisocial so that I could give a clear, quick description. With antisocial personality, this is what most people know as sociopath or psychopathy. And this ranges from a serial killer all the way to, let's say, a business owner type thing. I mean, there's so many other things in between. But my point being is that you don't have to be somebody that takes somebody's life to be antisocial. There are plenty of people that you know in your life right now that fit antisocial personality, including someone in the chat's ex-husband, right? So that's good that you were able to spot those symptoms or personality traits, if you will, in your ex-husband, because that's important for you to know, right? Oh, thank you for saying this is informative. But with antisocial personality, you could have a successful business owner. I always say, and I only say this because I know there's a lot of people in here that are Christian. So I'm like, let me try to give an example. Think of like Scrooge, right? Like the story of Scrooge around Christmas. And even though Tiny Tim really needs something in order to live and for them to be comfortable, and there's no food for Thanksgiving or Christmas, sorry. But the point is that Scrooge doesn't care as far as he's like, I need to make my money. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Here's your money. No, you didn't get a raise or a bonus or whatever. Like, go on with your day. And they show them all around the table, being grateful for the little bit that they did have. And then by the end of the movie, of course, after they go through the ghost of Christmas past and all the things, pretty much they just show Scrooge all of his wrongdoings and scare the shit out of him. That obviously is not what would happen in real life. My point being is that Scrooge isn't a killer, right? But he is an a-hole boss that is willing to cut you at the knees or not give you more because he has his own best interest at heart and wanting to move on. So I only give that example because it's a lighthearted example. But you could also be looking at somebody like Ted Bundy. Do you know what I mean? So, and there's just so much in between. And then there's a difference between psychopathy and sociopathy. And psychopathy is more genetic and biological. Sociopathy is like the difference here would be Ted Bundy and Lori Vallow, in my opinion, are both sociopaths. Okay, so they're both sociopaths, in my opinion. I'm trying to think of who would be like a real psychopath. Truth. Give me someone that, and tell me like who you think would be a psychopath, and I'll pick one or two that I know, because I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. But let me just explain what I mean. So a sociopath has a little bit of empathy, and that almost makes them more dangerous. So with a psychopath, the person lacks empathy too. So maybe like Bryan Kohberger, would that be more? Yeah, that would probably be more of a psychopath, because Bryan Kohberger wasn't very social. Do you see how, like, with Ted Bundy, though, and Lori Vallow, and I pick Lori Vallow because we're talking about this hidden true crime, and Lori Vallow is very much, somebody that I think that Lauren has an attachment with, as far as whether it being through the news or, with the family, all of the things. But with Lori Vallow, do you see how she's very charming? Same with Ted Bundy, like they were charming. They knew how to talk to people. They had a little bit of empathy, so they were able to, and when I say empathy, they still lack guilt and remorse. So what I mean by empathy is they were able to understand the human condition in a way that they could utilize someone else's emotional well-being or just emotions in general to their advantage. So somebody that's a psychopath might not necessarily catch on. Like, think about Bryan Kohberger, right? So many people were like turned off by him, but he didn't really get the hint. Like, he didn't read the room type thing, like, at all. With like Lori Vallow or Ted Bundy, they would be able to read the room and then either lie, manipulate, do what they had to do to try to regain control of the situation. But if you think of even like with Ted Bundy, when he gets pulled over by the cops and he thinks that he was going to be caught, and here he's not, they let him go and he goes on his merry way. So it's like you would only be able, Jodi Arias is a good example, I think. What are you thinking? I'm thinking of a sociopath, not a psychopath. Because Jodi Arias used sex appeal like Lori, right? And she used, now I could see if you were trying to say psychopath, why you might say psychopath for Jodi Arias, but I would put Jodi Arias more in sociopath. So psychopath doesn't understand why it's wrong, but sociopath doesn't care that it's wrong, right? So no, Lee, I'm glad that you said that. Not necessarily. Neither one of them have guilt and remorse. Both are antisocial personality disorder. In the DSM, we don't consider them either sociopath or psychopath. Like, we don't consider anybody either of them. We consider them antisocial personality. So both of those terms would fit under there. But just like we were saying with like a spectrum of, personality type, we see under people that are violent offenders that there are some that use their ability to pick up on your emotions. Like, for example, Ted Bundy he pretended like he had crutches, that he was hurt, and he would drop his books and people would like help pick up his books, and like he would get some girls to walk him back to their car. To walk them back to his car, and then he would abduct them because he would throw the crutches down or throw them in the car and then overpower them. So in that sense, he had to like feel out which girl, who does he drop the books in front of? And when somebody comes over, are they somebody that he could get? There's somebody online, and I can't remember who it is, so shame on me for not remembering, but it's another content creator. If anybody knows, let me know. But she had an experience with Ted Bundy where he tried to get her to walk him. I forget what it was. She did something like, I don't remember exactly the story, but she did like the first thing, like helped him pick up his books. But then he wanted her to walk them to his car, and she said no. And like he was like, come on. And like she said, he was like very persistent. But her brothers were there and she knew that they were coming. Who is it? Carol Durange? It's is it Carol? Is it Carol? Thank you for telling me. And her brothers or something were there, and she's like, I knew that they were going to be looking for me, and she said no, just no. And she says she looks back now, and she's like, oh my gosh, like that I could have been one of the women that we talk about in true crime. So it's just amazing, like how we run into, or if you even look at Bryan Kohberger, when we look at the Costco videos, right? We're looking at these Costco videos and he's walking right past other people. I'm sure there were people there that greeted him. I think there was a greeter at the beginning. So, didn't they turn him down or something and he winds up walking away? So, but he did get greeted. So the point is that there were people that were engaged with these people even after their crimes. BTK, people trusted him. People were like, they would have put him on their team when thinking of like who would make me feel safe type thing. So that's what I mean by you really don't know, and you can't really just say, because a somebody with antisocial personality in general, whether we're talking about psychopathy or sociopathy, they could look like your next door neighbor. Like they don't look like a specific thing. It's not like somebody that wears this clothes or is into this music or something like that. Like they literally could be your next door neighbor, your uncle, your friend, your ex-husband. There you go. So somebody that you fell in love with enough to marry. And I don't know in that case when, the person in chat, but you have children with and stuff. So you had to have seen something good in them. The problem is that neither a sociopath or a psychopath feels guilt and remorse. And that's what makes it different. They have, in a lot of cases, a smaller amygdala, which is the part of the brain that houses emotion. So they feel less fear than you or I would feel. So that's why Ted Bundy's able to get pulled over by the police and just make it look like no big deal. Like, I'm just on my merry way, my bad. I'll just, and then keep going. Like, where anybody, I don't do anything wrong and a cop pulls me over and I start tearing up. Like, come on, and I'm like, I don't know what I did wrong. I'm sorry. But so this would be the opposite of, he had like a body or whatever in the car, like the kill kit or whatever it was. And he was able to just go on his merry way. So you have to think of it that way. They copycat emotions. I'm so glad you said that, Tambourine. So what happens is, you guys, not only do they copycat emotions, that's how they get along. Like that's how they live through and understand how to act in situations. And I'm so glad you said that, because what happens is the more they experience with people, the more they pick up on how people react in certain situations. So they get that if they're at a funeral, for example, that they should look sad. They get that if they're at a wedding, that they should maybe talk about love. Maybe that'll get them laid later type thing. But like, that's the thing that they're thinking about. Like they're mimicking the things that they see, which is also why they get caught in a lot of ways too, right? Because they think that they misjudge our perception in that they think that they're doing something that would get over on us, but they're not. We're looking through them like, what? And like, to us, it's such a, but that's usually what catches them up, their ego at some point. But I'm so glad you said that. So one of the things that somebody with antisocial would do is, and this is scary, I'm always cautious about sharing this stuff, because I never want someone as a result to ever, pull back in life. Like, you can't live in fear in life. So I do caution against that. Like, this is the 1%. Like, this isn't the 99%. So this is a small portion. But an example of something egregious that they would do related to emotion is, let's say you're all hanging out in like a group and they're doing their own thing over here and you're over there talking to someone. Maybe they're listening. So they hear you say that you like, I don't know, Janet Jackson. I don't know where that just came from, but they hear you say that you like Janet Jackson or something, and you're talking about like the music from the 90s or whatever. And they're talking over here. Now later on, we're at the bar or something, and I already, if I'm the sociopath, I already pull it up on my YouTube music, and I accidentally, or somebody, you have somebody, you could call yourself pretty much, or you can text yourself. You could have that like a song go off in the background that's like Janet Jackson while the person's standing right there and they look over at you like, wait, what? You like, do you see what I'm saying? So they're very good at using your own emotion to get to you because they don't feel bad about doing it. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Are you saying no? Oh my God, Calissa, I am so glad you asked that. I am not saying Lauren is a psychopath, you guys, or antisocial. We were just talking about personality disorders, and I got off on because we were talking about, I said about somebody in chat. Oh, I am so glad you asked that, you guys. Thank you. If you guys ever think like somebody else might interpret something I'm saying differently than you probably know that I mean it, please say something like that maybe I'll see, because I never want someone to be able to use what I'm saying as if I'm trying to say something that I wasn't. So again, I was just talking about cluster B personality disorders and got off on an ADHD rant about the different types, and then people were asking about the difference, and I just got off on it. But no, I actually am not saying that at all. I am so glad that you asked though, Calissa, because how many, somebody else might have seen this and might not have known me enough to ask. Like you were probably thinking like, wait, is that what she's saying? So then you ask, and I'm like, oh no, please. But there might be somebody, you're right, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. But there might be somebody else out there that sees this and is like, oh, is she now saying she's, and I am not doing that. I think that I actually brought that part up though, because Dr. John is saying that about Christina, that he sees antisocial traits in Christina. And that's egregious because I don't see antisocial traits.
Is hurt, controlled, damaged, or destroyed is this narcissistic linking fantasy.
Wait, I like you a lot, but you will never shine your brightest by throwing shade. Focus on you and what you have to offer. You can never build yourself up by tearing others down. Wait, I want to know what you're talking about, Tara Tyler. I just said that I don't think that. So I don't see, this is why I'm glad that that like Calissa is asking those types of questions, because again, what I just said I was afraid of happening clearly just happened, right? So somebody thought that I'm trying to tear somebody else down, and that's the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do. If you watch last night's live, you'll see that I actually get emotional because of the misinformation that and the tearing down that I feel like they're doing to like Christina. Maybe that's what you meant. I don't know. Let me know. But let's keep going. I don't want to keep, this isn't like a lecture.
Restored.
Wow.
And this gets back to the idea that we've been talking about all along. That the goal of a cyber stalker.
No, maybe I didn't get that wrong, because you said I like you a lot, but, which means that you don't like me a lot, which is okay. Not everybody has to like me. I'm okay with that. So maybe I didn't take it the wrong way. I feel bad that you took it that way, but that I'm not trying to tear anyone down, I promise.
Or any stalker, a physical stalker, it doesn't matter. The goal is to ruin and damage the person beyond repair.
That's trying to tear somebody down.
Or to have them end up dead. That's how stuff like this, that's how this stuff ends. And the reason, according to Malloy, is because that's the only way.
Yeah, you guys, and I'm glad that you just said that too, Tambourine. So this is the thing, you guys. I am all about true crime, but my true passion is helping others. And what I noticed was true crime is one of the subcategories where people engage with each other through like live streams. So there's gaming. That's another one where people, do a lot of chatting. I'm not a gamer, but I like true crime. So I use true crime cases to help clarify issues that have to do with psychology, but pretty much just to put out there in the public some of the things that I teach in the classroom that I feel like the general public would be interested in. And about 102 of you are interested, or maybe at least 90 of the people here are interested in what I'm saying, because you might come back. So that's all. So it's more about helping spread the word of psychology, so that part of it, so that we can take away some, like I started part of this for one thing. You usually start things for one reason and then continue for another. So I would say I started it in the hopes of bringing down like how people are afraid to talk about psychological topics or to get therapy and what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm not forgetting, but I'm not. Somebody will tell me the word I'm looking for. My point is that it then turned into even more than I could have ever dreamed of in a good way. So thank you so much.
For the stalker to restore the narcissistic linking fantasy.
Oh.
Okay, now we talked about so much.
Yeah.
But we talked
Human
about
behavior.
recently in psychology of stalking. We've talked about the research on that. We talked about Malloy's chart, types of stalkers, stalking criteria, definitions.
Thanks.
One of the big issues out there, in addition to all that, one of the big issues out there is one of the arguments for the TikToker, for the stalker, is that it's free speech, right? This is
Wait, real quick. Harlot says, I don't think Kohberger was a psychopath. He seemed to have carved a lot of what other people thought of him and wanted to fit in. Like a psychopath does, right? Isn't that what we kind of just said? So that's all. So Tara Taylor says, just be you, focus on other topics. You are smart, funny, sweet, and have so much to offer. Don't let distractions like this keep you from meaningful content. Oh, thank you for saying that. I think I do a little bit of everything. I think part of this too is like, I just started this content, right? And I'm getting like my word out to more people. And I do think that this is important because there's so many people that still, like, to me, this is meaningful content because there's still 316,000 subscribers that, you know what, if you know that this is the case and that, you know, that he's calling people moral crusades and calling out all this other stuff, like, if somebody sees that and they're okay with that, by all means, this is your life. You follow whoever you want. You know what I mean? There's a ton of YouTube channels. If somebody wants to follow them, by all means. My thing is how many people are following them that don't realize that they're, I mean, I would just say, just watch my live from last night, and I think that'll explain it to you. I don't want to start getting upset, so I'll leave it at that.
is probably the biggest argument. Well, it's free speech. This is just Mean Girls. Free speech, Mean Girls. Who cares? Mean Girls are Mean Girls. That doesn't mean you should get a stalking injunction. Don't weaponize the legal system. Stupid.
Cat fight.
Cat fight.
That's how John talks when he's not on camera.
Yeah.
Like, Lauren, what's up? No, just kidding.
One thing that philosophers do.
Harlan, I see what you're saying, kind of. I think me and you, we could we'll talk about that in another one too, because I don't want to get too off. But you're right in the sense that when I did a behavioral breakdown on Kohberger, my opinion of what I was seeing behaviorally was somebody with narcissism, and for me, his number one, the thing that we saw most for me was narcissistic personality. However, I saw traits of, and if you look at all my stuff, I never say that he has a full-blown antisocial narcissism, maybe, but antisocial, I said I saw traits of, and I also saw traits of obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, which I think, from what I'm looking at now, we might also see. What do you guys think about this? In McKay, when Daniel said that he saw a correlation between the two, and I said this on his live too, at first I was like, but the correlation, I'm like, what the hell do them two have in common? And I was like, no way. But then I always reflect on things because I don't just throw things to the side. I try to think, why would somebody say this or that? Like, let me think. And I was thinking, and I'm like, oh, wow. Could it be the narcissistic personality with a little bit of obsessive compulsive personality and antisocial traits? So I think you're right on, Harlot, and I'm glad that I clarified. But if you look at any of my Kohberger stuff, that's what I said the whole time.
That, since I was
Let's be nice, everyone.
majored in philosophy as an undergrad, one of the things I always loved
Oh,
about
thank you. I
philosophy, even back when I was an undergrad, which
appreciate
Getting his
that,
undergrad at
Jasmine.
Princeton, might I add, winning the
That means
thesis
I
award. I
can work.
know that you always underplay. And at this moment, now that people are trying to mock your education, I'm going to own it. He's brilliant. Scholarship. Valedictorian. Go ahead.
there's this argument about free speech, and as a matter of fact, in the TikTokers' attorney's objection, that was the heart of it.
Yeah.
This is free speech. Who cares if she says that you want to have non-consensual relations with your brother, right? Who cares if she's threatening to harm your business? Who cares if she's reaching out to everyone in your business contacts and trying to ruin you and damage you? None of that matters because this is free speech. So, one of the things philosophers like to do is we like to think about thought experiments. And I came up with one.
Okay. A thought experiment. Okay. For all of us at home, including me, I'm at home. A
Hi.
thought experiment with Dr. John Mathias,
Thought experiment.
PhD. All right.
Oh no, we're going to do a
And the reason
experiment.
we present thought experiments is because the reason philosophers do thought experiments is because they're trying to
say
figure
this
out
is such a
kind of the
philosopher
boundaries
thing to
around an
do.
issue, right? And whether by going through a thought experiment, you can ask questions about whether this is free speech, whether it's not, right? I'm presenting a hypothetical, but I think you could see this easily as being real. So
Okay.
Wait, was that
in my
me?
thought experiment, there's a woman, Sylvia. And Sylvia has a daughter
Tyler.
named Becky.
Tara Tyler. You Tara Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wow, that was so generous of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. And thank you for being adult enough to have us talk it back and forth and it not get go into a bad thing. I think, I have a lot of different videos on a lot of different things. And I guess I feel like until I get out all of the things that I'm trying to say, I think the only other thing I really want to look at with this is the next one. It's an hour long. I'll do that on another live. And then after that, once I feel like I've gotten everything out until there's something new or something else that I see that I feel is worthy of it, then of doing another live, then so please everybody, I hope you guys still come when I do other cases because we get into all the psychology stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
And Becky's best friend is someone in school. They're adolescents.
Okay.
They're both 16 years old. Becky's best friend is Victoria.
Okay. Becky and Victoria.
Yeah. And Victoria happens to be the captain of the volleyball team.
Oh,
She's
no.
very well liked. She's considered to be one of the more attractive
no.
girls in her class,
Okay.
which is, I think,
I feel
sophomore
like I
and
know
junior in
where
high
this is
school.
going.
But Becky and Victoria have a falling out. And Becky's very angry at Victoria because
Wait, is this the one with the 4-year-old? Did we ever get back to the 4-year-old and what the 4-year-old had to do with anything? Did we ever figure that out? Did he ever explain it?
Becky wanted Victoria to help her join the in crowd, and Victoria was kind of on the fence. She didn't really know how to do it, but she was happy to help her. But Becky thought it wasn't enough.
Thought experiment.
Becky felt like she was being shunned by Victoria in certain areas,
Right?
and
Becky and Victoria.
that Victoria could have helped her more to be.
And wait, I can't believe nobody said anything about him not being diverse in his picking of the names. Maybe that's just me being a teacher, in a university. I always make sure whenever I do the test or whatever, I always make sure that the names are diverse.
Become more popular.
Okay.
So Becky goes home.
Oh no, this is a ridiculous. Oh God, I can't.
To her
wait.
mother, Sylvia, and Becky says, "Mom, I'm really hurt. I just got shunned. I just got rejected by my best friend Victoria, and I don't know what to do." And
No, but I thought that how can you do the scenario if it's a parasocial relationship? Wouldn't it be your friend online?
I don't want to deal with her anymore, and I'm done with it. And Sylvia says,
So are we friends or not?
"You know what? I love true crime. There's this raging debate online now about a stalking situation, and everyone says it's free speech, and I agree it's free speech. And you know what you should do, Becky? You should open a TikTok account, and you should target Victoria. And what you should do with your account is you should try to harm her and ruin her life as much as you can, because that's perfectly acceptable under free speech."
Why does he? This is the thing, you guys. And when I talk about projection, this is what I mean. He just got done talking about where he was and people are saying, this is just Mean Girls. This is just high school. And then he makes a thought experiment where he uses high school. And the research that he brought was about elementary, right? Or was it high school? But it was it was about adolescence.
And what I recommend you start with is that you start with a post that you want to come back to, by the way. You want to repeatedly come back to this post, but you start with a post about how Victoria
that she's right.
Engaged in non-consensual contact with several of her younger siblings.
Yes.
And Becky says, oh, that's great. That sounds great. I hate Victoria. I want to start this TikTok. I want to really hurt her. So she posts
Ding, ding to Carolina. We have our A comment here. In my opinion, Lauren is the victim in John's thought experiment story. John is now enabling her bad behavior, which is part of what my one thing was that I said, if she believes half of what he says, I could see why she'd be afraid too, because, you know, we see him as somebody with authority as far as with psychology. So she clearly does too. She's always telling us about how he has a Princeton degree.
Post the first TikTok in a video of Victoria engaging in non-consensual relations with her younger siblings. Goes viral. Victoria is really hurt. People believe it. People start shining Victoria. People start avoiding her. None of it's true, by the way. But Victoria becomes a bit of a laughingstock. People are talking endlessly behind her back about the supposed non-consensual contact that Victoria had with her younger siblings. Victoria is so upset by this, and she's receiving so much mockery at school that she has to, within a year, she has to leave the volleyball team and she leaves school to be homeschooled by her mother.
Wait, what?
Becky continues because Sylvia, her mother, says, you know what? You should post as much as you can. Post every day. Go back to the post about non-consensual contact, about Victoria being an abuser. Go back to that regularly, but post other stuff. But now post her dropping out of school to be homeschooled and how only losers do that.
What?
Now post that she wasn't strong enough to stay in school, that she wasn't strong enough to stay on the volleyball team. I want you to just mock her because free speech.
Is this about the volleyball staying home in the story? Which one?
They graduate from high school. Victoria does it obviously not in the actual school. She does it from home.
What?
And when she graduates, Becky posts that homeschool doesn't really count, that even though she passed all the accreditation exams and did what she needed to do, that Victoria's a loser because she had to be homeschooled and she couldn't stand the fact that she couldn't deal with the truth that she was in fact an abuser. But of course, Becky's posting all kinds of other things, like she says, I'm going to burn your flipping kingdom to the ground. She's saying she's going to expose her, that because she was her best friend, she has all these private text messages and emails that she's going to put out there to harm her.
Yeah.
She continues posting every day. Years pass, still posting. Victoria gets married.
Years? This has gone on for
she
like
sees
4 months.
Becky sees that Victoria's posted photos of her marriage. So she mocks her marriage. She mocks her husband. She talks about how ugly he is, what a loser he is, how he has no future, what a loser she is. She continues to say that whatever Victoria has in her life, she's going to take it away and she's going to burn her kingdom to the ground.
Oh, well,
Victoria finally has kids. When her first child is born, Becky posts that she believes Victoria is now going to abuse her child. She posts that her children are losers. She posts that CPS should become involved because, of course, she's an abuser and the child are going to be taken away. So why doesn't CPS jump in now?
No, with all due respect, I just have a question. I know, right, Cuffy? Did anybody call CPS on Lauren? Like, what is he saying?
And she can do all this because, of course, free speech.
I don't know.
She can say whatever she damn well pleases, right? Free speech. Victoria has another child a couple years later.
How did it
Same
start?
thing.
What, the thought experiment? The thought experiment started with the girls at school and the ones on the volleyball, and she starts getting bullied, and then she goes home and because she wants to do homeschool after that. And then years pass, and the mom tells the girl to keep bullying her and that she should do a TikTok and bully her. And years pass, and now the one girl gets married and is having a kid, and the other girl thinks that, yes, I think he's trying to say that, that's exactly what he's saying, Lucy, that bullying will just continue to escalate and go on for your entire life and then shift to your children and then your children's children. And Lucy, guess what, Lucy, that's actually the winning, I think, comment of the day, because this is the thing. What he's talking about is what we call intergenerational transmission of trauma. But the problem here is that this is not that, unless they allow that to be, right? So at what point, especially if you know better, if you know enough to make a thought experiment about it, do you engage in this differently in real life? Do you know what I mean?
There's another child. Same thing. Becky keeps posting that her children are going to be
I
sexually abused.
wasn't sure what the breakup was.
She keeps
either.
posting that Victoria's an abuser, that CPS should get involved, take her kids. She won't stop with that theme. Victoria's struggling. This is taking a toll on her. It's taking an immense toll on her.
Wait, child SA came into the experiment? I must have missed it. Where at?
So finally, Victoria and her husband decide that they're going to pursue a stalking injunction with the court. The initial injunction is granted.
Oh my God.
But they go to court. And basically the judge says,
yeah, can
this
I
is just a cat
rewind?
fight.
Sorry, you guys. This is, and I will shut up, I promise.
She can say what this. Yes, jump in now.
All right, is this the beginning of it?
And she can do all.
No, hold on.
Becky posts
All right, and I will.
to the ground. Victoria finally had.
I might have
She
to
continued.
stop it somewhere in the middle
Victoria's
there just
posted
so I don't
photos
pick
of
up.
her marriage.
What
Them
the?
to the ground. Homeschooled, and she couldn't.
Oh my gosh, how far back did this go?
Becky continues.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Start shining Victoria. Victoria
What?
says
Oh my gosh. you
to
guys,
help her.
How long is this?
Someone in school, they're adolescents,
Oh, they're adolescents.
is because the reason
So this had
thought experiments. And I thought
All right,
I
here we
came up
go.
with one.
Okay, a thought experiment.
thought
Okay.
experiment. Let's
Here's
do
For
it.
all of us at home, including me, I'm at home. A thought experiment with Dr. John
A
Mathias,
thought experiment.
PhD. All right.
Well, P.
And the reason we present thought experiments is because the reason philosophers do thought experiments is because they're trying to figure out kind of the boundaries around an issue, right? And whether by going through a thought experiment, you can ask questions about whether this is free speech, whether it's not, right? I'm presenting a hypothetical, but I think you could see this easily as being real. So
Okay.
in my thought experiment, there's a woman, Sylvia, and
Wow.
Sylvia has a daughter named Becky.
Okay.
And Becky's best friend is someone in school. They're adolescents.
Okay.
They're both 16 years old. Becky's best friend is Victoria.
Okay. Becky and Victoria.
Yeah. And Victoria happens to be the captain of the volleyball team. She's very well liked.
Wow.
She's considered to be one of the more attractive girls in
Wait,
her
is
class,
this not the beginning
which is,
of
I
the
think,
story?
sophomore, junior years in high school. But Becky and Victoria have a falling out. And Becky's very angry at Victoria because Becky wanted Victoria to help her join the in crowd, and Victoria was kind of on the fence. She didn't really know how to do it, but she was happy to help her. But Becky thought it wasn't enough.
With your-
Becky felt like that she was being shunned by Victoria in certain areas, and that Victoria could have helped her more to become more popular.
Okay.
So Becky goes home to her mother, Sylvia, and Becky says, "Mom, I'm really hurt. I just got shunned. I just got rejected by my best friend, Victoria, and I don't know what to do, and I don't want to deal with her anymore, and I'm done with it." And Sylvia says, "You know what? I love true crime. There's this raging debate online now about a stalking situation, and everyone says it's free speech, and I agree it's free speech. And you know what you should do, Becky? You should open a TikTok account, and you should target Victoria. And what you should do with your account is you should try to harm her and ruin her life as much as you can, because that's perfectly acceptable under free speech. And what I recommend you start with is that you start with a post that you want to come back to, by the way. You want to repeatedly come back to this post, but you start with a post about how Victoria
They definitely did, true.
engaged in non-consensual contact with several of her younger siblings.
Wait, what?
And Becky says, "Oh, that's great. That sounds great. I hate Victoria. I want to start this TikTok. I want to really hurt her. So she posts she posts the first TikTok in a video of Victoria engaging in non-consensual relations with her younger siblings. Goes viral. Victoria is really hurt. People believe it. People start shunning Victoria. People start avoiding her. None of it's true, by the way. But Victoria.
Oh, wow. I just have to because I don't want to get copyright strike, but that is horrible. I was letting the dog in, and usually I hear everything, and for some reason I must have missed that because why would you? That's not even comparison. Like, I don't understand.
It becomes a bit of a laughingstock. People are
Yes, I
talking
was
endlessly
gasping.
behind her back about the supposed non-consensual contact that
Melissa.
Victoria had with her younger siblings. Victoria is so upset by this, and she's receiving so much mockery at school that she has to, within a year, she has to leave the volleyball team and she leaves school to be homeschooled
Oh my God.
by her mother. Becky continues because
Quick question, you guys. He's not, hi, Ruthann. He's not trying to say, like, the son is going to have to be homeschooled, is he? Or is this all just for Lauren? What do you guys think? I think it's probably all for Lauren.
Sylvia, her mother, says, you know what? You should post as much as you can. Post every day. Go back to the post about non-consensual contact, about Victoria being an abuser. Go back to that regularly. But post other stuff. But now post her dropping out of school to be homeschooled and how only losers do that. Now post that she wasn't strong enough to stay in school, that she wasn't strong enough to stay on the volleyball team. I want you to just mock her because free speech. They graduate from high school. Victoria does it obviously not in the actual school. She does it from home. And when she graduates, Becky posts that homeschool doesn't really count. That even though she passed all the accreditation exams and did what she needed to do, that Victoria's a loser because she had to be homeschooled and she couldn't stand the fact that she couldn't deal with the truth that she was in fact an abuser. But of course, Becky's posting all kinds of other things, like she says, I'm going to burn your flipping kingdom to the ground.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, Cuff You. My bad, Cuff You. Do you want me to tell you when this part's over? I didn't even realize that I should have trigger warning this, but I didn't know the thought experiment, or I would have. I apologize.
She's saying she's going to expose her, that because she was her best friend, she has all these private text messages and emails that she's going to put out there to harm her. She continues posting every day. Years pass, still posting. Victoria gets married.
I will Cuff You.
She sees that Becky sees that Victoria's posted photos of her marriage. So she mocks her marriage. She mocks her husband. She talks about how ugly he is, what a loser he is, how he has no future, what a loser she is. She continues to say that whatever Victoria has in her life, she's going to take it away and she's going to burn her kingdom to the ground. Victoria finally has kids. When her first child is born, Becky posts that she believes Victoria is now going to abuse her child.
Wow.
She posts that her children are losers. She posts that CPS should become involved because, of course, she's an abuser and the child are going to be taken away. So why doesn't the CPS jump in now? And she can do all this because, of course, free speech. She can say whatever she damn well pleases, right? Free speech.
I'm thinking about it, and they have 16,000 subscribers. There has to be many Cuff Yous that follow them, right? So why would you, like, that just shows such a disconnect that you would even make this part of your thought experiment.
Victoria has another child. A couple years later, same thing. She has another child, same thing. Becky keeps posting that her children are going to be sexually abused. She keeps posting that Victoria is an abuser, that CPS should get involved, take her kids. She won't stop with that theme. Victoria's struggling. This is taking a toll on her. It's taking an immense toll on her. So finally, Victoria and her husband decide that they're going to pursue a stalking injunction with the court. The initial injunction is granted, but they go to court, and basically the judge says, this is just a cat fight between two now adult females. This is a cat fight between adult females. And of course, free speech, because you know what, Victoria? I don't think Becky should be silenced. I don't think anyone should be silenced. So just basically take it.
What?
And even though, Becky's a little bit of a mean girl, maybe she's cyberbullying you a little bit, I think that stalking is just...
You guys, there's a difference between cyberbullying or like what they're alleging with Christina and then making up a story that someone did SA. Like that's like not even apples and oranges. That's like apples and rocks.
Going up at someone's home with a gun, and she hasn't done that. She hasn't approached you in your car. She hasn't approached you. They live in the same town. She hasn't approached you at the grocery store. She hasn't approached you anywhere. She hasn't physically harmed you.
Mm-mm.
So the judge actually goes on record and says, you know what? This stalking injunction is dismissed because, quote, this reminds me of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So guess what? Go back to your life. Just grin and bear it and carry on.
Wow.
Victoria has been supported by her husband for most of her life, but she finally decides, after having 3 children, all of whom are targeted by the stalker, by Becky, she decides to get a job. She goes back to school. She gets certified as a teacher. She starts a job. And what happens? Becky starts posting again about how Victoria is an abuser and that she's going to harm the children in her class because she's teaching in elementary school.
Right, you did.
And then she needs to lose her job.
What?
Victoria does lose her job because of these posts. Their posts are persistent. They're repeated. Victoria...
Okay, the difference is Lauren owns her business.
...has told Becky numerous times, please stop. Please leave me alone. I feel threatened. I feel harassed. But the court will not protect her. She's forced out of her job. She's forced to resign because of all the rumors and gossip about her being an abuser. So what does she do? She finds another job. This time she goes to the local community center. She loves working with kids. She's got 3 kids. That's her passion. But guess what? Becky's persistent. Becky takes back to social media and tells the community center, you are an abuser. You should not be working at this community center. You're putting all these kids at risk. Lo and behold, Victoria loses her position once again. Because Victoria doesn't know what to do, because she still loves kids.
But hopefully you heard what I said. Rewrite what you wrote before, because my ADHD medicine wore off. And I remember you saying something, but I want to make sure. I don't remember exactly. I'm just being honest.
She starts a YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel it pertains to children's education. She reads books, children's books. She's just doing anything she can to help kids. But guess what? Becky thinks that's absurd because there's no proof of this whatsoever. But Becky decides, of course, that she shouldn't have her YouTube channel or any way to make a living because she's an abuser. So she starts posting relentlessly on her TikTok, again, about Victoria and her abuse. An online mob flocks to her channel, which is starting to get some momentum finally.
What?
And she's canceled. Not only is she canceled, but her friends, her coworkers, her colleagues in the community, the people at the school where she taught, they all turn against her. So finally, after all these losses and all this trauma and this rumor that she can't dispel, even though she said repeatedly, I did not do that. Even her siblings have said, she did not do that. It doesn't matter. She's continued with this lie over and over again. It's called the sleeper effect. If you tell a lie enough, over and over again, people believe it.
People start to believe it, which is actually what's happened.
That's what's happening with you. People are telling lies over and over, and people are believing it. So finally, after years, and And by the way, so Becky meets with her mother for lunch, and she tells her mom, Sylvia, she said, "Mom, that was great. You know, you allowed me to see quite clearly that because of free speech, I have a lifetime pass. I have a lifetime ticket to just ridicule and threaten and harass this friend of mine who didn't do enough for me and who rejected me." And she thanks her mom and says, "Wow, this has just been great. Free speech is so great. I love it." And oddly enough, Sylvia says at this lunch, Sylvia says, I've been watching this, and, maybe it's too much. Maybe you've gone too far. Maybe you should really rein this in a little bit. But Becky says, "No, Mom, you taught me free speech. Like, I can say any damn thing I want. I'm not stalking her. I haven't showed up at her home with a gun. I haven't followed her in a car. I haven't followed her at the mall. I haven't followed her in a restaurant. I've done nothing wrong. I can say whatever I want. Free speech." So the way this ends, and I don't know the final ending, but the way this story ends, the way this thought experiment ends, is that she wakes up one morning in her bed. Distraught.
What? I'm distraught.
And she tells her husband
What?
that she can't keep doing it. Okay, let's take this out.
What's happening?
The way this ends is Victoria is in her bed, crying. She wakes her husband up, and she tells him that she can't keep doing it.
Yes, Lucy.
She's
you did
decided that
realize
she can't go any further. And she's thinking about herself. What happens after that? I don't know. That's the end of the thought experiment. I don't know what she did. But she wakes up at that point because she realizes that Becky's not going to stop until she's completely ruined her life or she's deceased. Because Becky understands that by hiding behind this argument of free speech, that she has a lifetime ticket to target and harass any person she wants over anything without any repercussions because of free speech. So my challenge to people with this thought experience, my challenge to anyone is to say to them, if you're a mother of someone, a daughter or a son, if you're a mother, would you recommend that one of your sons or daughters engages in this type of behavior?
What
And if you do,
is happening?
I guess that's your choice, right? Free speech. But I'm curious, I'm curious. Is that a reasonable course of action for a parent to say to their child, or for an adult to say to themselves, I have an issue with this person. I'm going to set up a targeted social media account to harm them. And I will spend the rest of my life engaged in this campaign of harm until I ruin this human being. And even if you argue that that's free speech, that doesn't even consider, because this is a philosophical thought experiment, you have to consider the ethical and moral implications of that behavior. We're not even addressing that. Are there ethical and moral implications to letting your child set up such an account under the auspices of free speech to harm someone else? That's my question. I do want to return to a part of that thought experiment, by the way. And it has to do with the part about going into court and being told essentially that this is just nothing but mean girl stuff. Even though Victoria, in this thought experiment, Victoria has never responded online.
Never.
She's never said anything about Becky. She's never fought back, right? I'm going to go back to the textbook. Stalkers and Their Victims, second edition.
I'm so glad we listened.
Let's consider this whole idea of a cat fight. Here's what Mullen, they have a chapter 11, it's on female stalkers.
What?
Here's what Mullen et al. Say about female stalking. Victimization studies, quote, this is on page 136.
Okay.
Victimization studies indicate that females are seldom prosecuted for stalking offenses, with criminal.
Look, she looks in the camera, like, listen up. Oh my gosh, you guys, what? Okay, but can we just talk real quick about the thought experiment? What in the hell? I think if I remember what you were asking is, what does this have to do with? Like, what is the correlation? Tell me if I'm right, but were you saying before, I'm like thinking about it and I'm like, I have a good memory. Let me just think about this. And I'm like, I think what you were saying was, what does this story that he just did, like, what does that have to do with Lauren and Christina? And if that is what you were asking, honestly, I don't know. Nothing, especially because there's a few things. One, he argued that Christina and Lauren had a parasocial relationship. In this story, there is a friendship at a school. The other thing is, Lauren and Christina are adults. These other ones were children. The other one is over years that the girl was so affected that she had to go be homeschooled. And the other one, none of that occurs. There's an allegation that is, oh, I get it. The allegation, wow, you guys, that is so wrong. That allegation that they gave in the scenario was to counter the sperm thing, in my opinion. Are you serious? Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with being homeschooled. What I was saying was, he was making, like, I don't think he was even saying that. I think what he was trying to say is that they were so affected by it that they couldn't even stay at school anymore. I think that's what the point there was. Not about being homeschooled, just that, they had, or he could have said switch schools. I think he just meant that, like, it was so affected me so much that I couldn't even stay at that school anymore. And it didn't even occur to me, but that's exactly what was happening with the essay thing. Was the correlation was with her brother. The other thing is, I want to know who the mom is in the story, because he says that the mom cheers the kid on and says, why don't you start a TikTok? So who is that person? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I never heard of Christina's mom. But that's about, like, I don't see the direct correlation. Oh, Lori Hellis, is that what you're saying, maybe? Okay. The problem is, the story that they just told here isn't a good depiction of what happened. And wow, he's trying to explain to her using research. And like she said, he's brilliant, in her eyes. So if he says this, then it must be true. Like, is that what's happening? And if so, well, like, wow, that's horrible. Because then if Lauren's then, and I'm not excusing behavior for Lauren, like, I mean, come on now, she's an adult, she should know better. Wait, Lauren wrote a letter to her mom and husband saying this to stop her. Oh, that's where the mom comes in. So then they're saying then, I guess, that Christina's mom was enabling her. Wow. That was not a thought experiment at all. That was a bad analogy. A bad one. It didn't fit, right? Like, it didn't fit the situation. it was unacceptable because it wasn't what happened, right? And then it makes you think, yes, all right, wait, hold on. John comes across as having experienced interpersonal trauma, possibly recent. I feel kind of bad for the lad. You like that, Vaughn? So I don't know. I would like to know. I don't know. Does anybody know about John's parents? Like, does he have siblings? What's his like? I would like to know. Oh my God, just another human. I can't believe you just said that. I was just going to say, John often goes back to like childhood stuff. That makes me wonder, oh my gosh, didn't Every Day with Jay do a live that looked at like, didn't John like write a story somewhere and something about confronting a mountain lion and a bear the next year, or a bear the one year and then a mountain lion the next year, but right before the bear and the mountain lion didn't he like get thrown out of a car or something, or I don't know. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But could that have like, caused some form of trauma? I don't know. I would like to know what he has brothers. You should watch Jolene's. Oh, maybe that's who I heard reading the story. It might have been Jolene, a wise woman. She's funny as hell. But I do want to go back and read that because that would really help me understand him. I feel like I could also go back probably and listen more about Lauren's upbringing, but I wonder how they dance together, right? So two people always dance together in a couple. So I wonder what their dance is, because he's very much a marriage and family therapist like I am. So he definitely thinks in systems. So I wonder what the dynamic is that made them two fit. It's interesting. His mother's gone, and you think his dad is too. A wise woman. I wonder what his relationship was like, because someone said that they think it was more recent. Is there a scenario where Lauren comes in between him and his parents? I don't know. I'm just asking. His dad's alive. Okay. John's statement to the court about the son's experience mirrors his childhood origin story. That's so interesting, Kim. Wow. I'm going to have to. I give him too much credit, you think? What do I always say, guys? My best and worst quality is that I play devil's advocate. I say that all the time, right? My husband with the car, and he wants me to like, or he thought he wanted me to just be like, yeah, you're right, F you, for like, cutting my husband off. And then I did it just to like prove a point. And he looked at me like, what the frig is wrong with you? Because I'm always like, nobody was trying to get you mad. Like they were just like, I don't know, there was a reason. Probably didn't mean to cut, like they weren't trying to piss you off, But it's my best and worst quality. It is what it is. It's not that I'm trying to give people credit. I do it not just with John, is what I'm saying. I do it with everybody. And again, it is my worst and best quality. It's a great quality in that it makes me think about things in a different lens. It's a bad quality sometimes because I sometimes, by doing so, give somebody more credit than, I'm not saying him in particular, just in general, than maybe should or deserves it. I do. I try to think of all this.
Justice intervention most likely to proceed in those cases involving a male accused of stalking a woman. So this is persistent.
Mm-hmm.
That's so many people, including some law enforcement, judges, you name it, they don't see stalking as stalking unless it involves a male. Females are just not prosecuted as much. And that speaks to this issue of the mean girl catfight thing, right? Mm-hmm. This stereotype that stalking is chasing someone with a gun, and specifically, you better be a male, otherwise you're not going to be prosecuted, because if you're a female doing it,
I appreciate that.
It's not serious.
Yeah.
It's a catfight, right? I'll go on. Quote, put simply, Stalking by females is yet to be afforded the same degree of seriousness attached to males who harass. This despite empirical evidence that females...
She did. She said something about the father-in-law in one of these. We didn't watch the whole 9-hour live, so I wasn't in that. Do you think? Because that's the only other thing we watched, right? Or no, we watched the video cam of the police, but I think it wasn't that the only other thing.
Females are no less intrusive or persistent in their
I'm
stalking,
gonna have to
and that
look
they are
into this.
no less a threat to their victims. I just want to say on that issue,
Interesting, him with the women.
that when it comes to stalking, and this is consistent with the research I just read.
What? Calissa said Lauren and John made fun of John's dad in their last Patreon episode. He's hard of hearing, and they were so mean about it. What? Lauren calls herself a feminist. So not only just another human does she call herself a feminist, but she read her son a book, like the feminist book for boys or something.
Right, there's clearly a sexist bias. Males are prosecuted, females aren't. When females engage in this type of behavior, even though they're equally dangerous, the research shows this, that they're dismissed. And you know what's interesting about your situation? I really appreciate the fact that certain men like Colby Ryan reached out to you and said, thank you for that vulnerability. Thank you for that type of raw emotion. But you know what? There's a lot of people that are going to really struggle with that type of raw emotion. There's a lot of people that are going to struggle with that type of a vulnerability. There's a lot of people that are very uncomfortable. And because of that, they're labeling you things like histrionic, right? They're dismissing you.
Oh my God.
Because you're a female
Did you just hear
expressing emotion.
He just said they're dismissing you as histrionic. You guys, I'm really good at what I do.
This is where the sexist bias comes in. They're dismissing you as not serious, as untrustworthy.
Explore core, I can't.
Right? They're dismissing you as frivolous, as silly, as being engaged in a catfight, as a dispute between mean girls because you're female.
Wait, the last Patreon with Grayson sharing all of her brother's medical history and diagnosis was awful. Oh, that was horrible. About when the parents sent him, bing bong, when the parents sent him to the wilderness camp, and she said that they came in or they kidnapped them or something, and she was like told, like, that had to be traumatic for her to see.
Because
I think
the stalker wasn't
right?
following you with the gun. It doesn't matter. People can't handle
65.
the type of vulnerability and emotion that you expressed on that live for hours. What's the response? It's to call you histrionic. It's to call you a liar. It's to say you're faking. It's to say you're doing it for clicks. You're doing it for attention, right? That's because, and by the way, one of the people saying this because of this was on our show years ago. And I will say this, one of the worst moments I've ever had in 5 years, one of the moments that pissed me off to no end, unlike every other moment on any show I've ever been on, this person was on the show. And somebody, a viewer asked a question of me that was extremely emotional. And I was pondering the question. You could see I was getting emotional. I was going to give one of the best responses I've ever given. And you know what happened? Because this person couldn't handle the fact that I was getting emotional, they cut me off. They absolutely cut me off, refused to let me answer because they couldn't handle that emotion in a male, especially in a male, that raw emotion that I was about to express. And I was so angry. If this person wonders why she's not on our channel, you might want to look at yourself. You might want to look at the fact that you cut me off in one of the most critical moments on one of our shows that I've ever had. You might want to look at the fact that people didn't like you. You might want to look at the fact that you spoke over Lauren and myself. You might want to look at the fact that you thought you owned this channel when you didn't. You might want to look at the fact that there was a groundswell of people who despised you.
What?
So this idea of female stalkers being frivolous and silly and hysterical and overly emotional, most of the people saying that are males. Because they can't handle that type of emotion. They can't handle that vulnerability. So the easy response to that is to
I'm so sorry, a wise woman.
point the finger at you and say, you're lying, you're faking. The goal is not only to play in this, to fall into the stereotype of that only males are stalkers, only males can be violent.
I'm sorry, Case.
That's bullshit. The goal is to disempower you. The goal is to disempower all females that are stalked by other females. The goal is to make you look irrational. The goal is to make you look weak and stupid and irrational. It's to call you a liar, to discredit you. And you know what it's about? It's about the fact that these people cannot handle vulnerability. It's about the fact that years ago when that person cut me off, she could not handle my vulnerability and my raw emotion. And I'm still pissed.
What? Guys, what? Oh my God, you guys. I feel like I saw this a long time ago, but now, after like realizing like where at in the video this is and that it's in this video, like I think I've seen like a short or something where they like, where he says something, the one part, because the one part does sound familiar, right? But wow, I thought I like could have taken it out of context, and I don't know about that.
Years later, I'm pissed
Yeah.
that somebody cut me off.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wait, I have to see because I texted Cuff You and now I don't know who it was. So let me see. Who became a member? Shirley, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to our dysfunctional. We put the fun in dysfunctional family. I appreciate you. That was so very generous of you. Thank you so much. So you guys, so this is the thing. Somebody asked before about, who was it? Let me go back because I felt like there was one question for me and I wanted to make sure I got it. Thank you again, Charlie. That was so nice. Somebody said, can a borderline, wait, where is it? Can somebody with borderline and narcissism, where the hell is the question? Something about them like self-loathing. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to find it, but it was something about them. Could they self-loathe and could they be easily controlled? I think that's what the question was about. This is the thing. Borderline and narcissism are two different disorders. So I don't know if you meant like could somebody with borderline or narcissism, or if you meant somebody with borderline and narcissism at the same time. I'm not sure. But with borderline personality disorder, yes, it would be very common for them to have internal loathing, you were asking. So this person at the core has a fear of abandonment, right? So they feel chronic emptiness, if you will. They might feel shame, worthlessness, self-loathing, right? So that's a big one. With narcissistic personality disorder, it can be under the armor, especially around criticism. So they're usually like stereotyped as being arrogant and stuff like that. But they can react like to criticism and humiliation with what we call narcissistic injury, which is, let me give you an example, like just make it easier. You guys probably know, but just in case. For example, with Bryan Kohberger, there were many times that I think we saw this in my opinion. So something would happen, for example, like he would get teased for his weight and feel ostracized. So he winds up, that's a narcissistic injury. Instead of feeling grand, he felt the opposite of, and therefore he has to recover hell by making himself feel grand again. So how does he do that? In this case, he loses 130 pounds. Next, he with the schooling, right? He had difficulty in school. I believe he graduated at home, like he did his last part home. And again, there's nothing wrong with being homeschooled. It's the fact that he wasn't homeschooled because he thought it was like he thought it was the best path for him, or his mother thought that, whatever. He was homeschooled allegedly because he wasn't allowed to go back into a program. So what does he do? He becomes a doctor eventually in criminology. So it's like you have that injury, and the way that you rebound by that is to feel grand again. So in that case, you might see it, but it might look like it might be like under a shield, if you will. Whereas with with borderline, you would see it more, if that makes sense. So in general, I would say that internal loathing is not necessarily a cluster B thing so much as shame, emptiness, and fragile self-esteem thing, which can appear across many diagnoses and even in people that have no diagnoses at all. As far as being easily controlled, let me think. It depends, because it depends on what we're talking about. Like if we're just talking about narcissistic and borderline, that might be different. If we're talking about like antisocial, would be different. So because there's that intense fear of abandonment, you'll see like more vulnerability with borderline, right? Think of Jodi Arias, like how she wants to, like Travis with the Bahamas. I had to think for a second to get myself an example. When Travis wants to go to the Bahamas and she thinks she's going because she is at one point, then they break up and he's bringing another girl and she winds up going there. But before she goes there, she changes her hair color and gets the, gas cans and stuff. So on and so forth. So she had an intense fear of abandonment from him, in my opinion. And she had an unstable self-image. So she like needed his validation, and she didn't want to feel socially isolated. So she goes and, I almost said allegedly, but she's already been found guilty. So she goes and not only kills Travis, but overkills Travis, in my opinion, right? At big time. So I would say vulnerability, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Hopefully that answered your question. I don't know. We're almost done with this. Let's try to wrap this up.
Well, I was going to answer my question
Oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
in probably the most vulnerable way I could ever answer a question, because it was about my son and it was about JJ. So I say,
Oh, please don't be
to all the
diagnosing
haters
me.
who are claiming that you're lying and that this can't be stalking, I say to them, I challenge them.
Oh my God, truth. So, AJ came down to get my daughter's boyfriend to get her Motrin, and all I could think in my head was Richard Burns. And I was like, Dick Burns is here.
To
That
look
was
again.
so funny. And Richard
And to check
Backer.
their own emotions and to check themselves and their own.
I was like, did their dads hate them really? Like Richard Wacker and Richard Burns. What's up?
Inability to be vulnerable. Because what they're doing is despicable. And I want to make a comment too. I want to go back to this idea of psychological essentialism where we started, that all people at some level want to see themselves as good people. And that people often take small traits and amplify them, generalize from those traits to define another human being. Remember Gabriel, the herder?
Okay, everybody can have their opinion. He just told us to check our emotions, right? Go figure, right?
Gabriel, the 4-year-old herder.
Right, you guys. Oh my God, you guys have more insight here and you're not being, watched by the public, so to speak. I mean, some people, if you're a creator or whatever, but you guys know what I mean in general. So, but like, you guys are making the same connections that I'm seeing too. Like, you just freaked out about you. All right, I'm not going to say freaked out. I want to walk that back. You showed lack of emotional regulation in this moment, and then in the next moment, accuse other people of lack of emotional regulation. It's just like, where's the disconnect? Where's the accountability?
There's a lot of people out there that are mocking your looks, that are making fun of your appearance. And I just want to say on that, I mean, people can, you're laughing about some of it. It's funny, right? Like some of it's roasting you, but let's look a little deeper, right? Like that's psychological essentialism. If you want to disempower a female, the easiest way to do it is to mock her looks. And then
So now that, so knowing that she's a feminist, now he's using her looks, knowing that she herself, allegedly, I mean, like most women, especially if you're in the media, care about what they look like, right? So, but knowing that and that women care about what they look like, he's now using an example that would be easily persuadable.
and to say, look, she looks stupid. She must be stupid, right? It's to do the very thing that the 4-year-old was doing to Gabriel, which was to take a particular element, a particular attribute of you, your looks, whatever, your eyebrows, right? And it was to say that because of that, you're a clown. Because of the way you look, that you're silly and you can't be taken seriously, and therefore you must be a liar. And you know what? That's fucking bullshit. And it pisses me off because it is so sexist and it is so demeaning and it is so disempowering of.
What the actual heck did he just say?
You know what? That's fucking bullshit. Taken seriously, and therefore you must be a liar. And you know what? That's fucking bullshit.
One more time, just because I just thought.
Silly, and you can't be taken seriously, and therefore you must be a liar. And you know what? That's fucking bullshit.
Wow.
And it pisses me off because it is so sexist and it is so demeaning and it is so disempowering of women. And you get it all the time, unfairly. You get it from women. But it's a classic case of psychological essentialism in the sense that you're taking one attribute, your looks, or any female's looks. I'm sure a lot of females out there have gone through this. It's taking one aspect, one attribute of you and generalizing to your personality and defining you in terms of that.
Yeah.
And if that's not sexist, then, then I don't know what the hell is. But, in today's world, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter in the sense that, and it's not, by the way, you're so used to it, it's not going to harm you.
Right.
But I think what I want to say is I want to people.
What the hell was the point of this? If it's not what was the whole point of this live if it, what? You guys, what?
To be aware of let's call this what it is.
What is it, please?
When you mock someone's looks, do you really believe that that's defining their personality? Do you really believe that that is a valid perspective on who that person is, that's a valid insight into who that person is? It's obviously not.
Hi, Lisa.
So I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I know that cognitive, I talked about it earlier. I know that confirmation bias and the cognitive response principle mean that no matter what information you give someone, they're not going to change their mind. They're just going to come up with reasons why they're right. I know from confirmation bias that whatever I say here, they already have an opinion. They're going to
Truth, blink twice to let us know if you're the Equilibrium. That's what it was. And is she the crab in this situation?
Leave that no matter what. So I'm just putting this out there because I'm trying to complement your 9-hour live with my lesser version of that, my research-based live that analyzes the situation. Because you know what? That's what our viewers expect. That's what our viewers like. This is what we do.
Yeah, right. Throw out the $20 words now. And he does, you guys. He calls it psychological essentialism. Literally, in like regular people terms, all he had to say was, if someone does one bad thing, that means they're a bad person. Or if someone's labeled as blah, 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 that label's going to explain everything. Like, what? Why do you feel the need to say psychological essentialism instead?
At Hidden True Crime.
At Hidden True Crime.
And for those of you that didn't know, because I think a lot of people that are talking about the epic 9-hour live haven't even watched this before. This is what we do here at Hidden True Crime.
This is what we do. I do want to get back to the free speech issue. There's a couple of things I want to talk about at the end here, and then we're going to be done soon.
Oh, good.
You read this on your live? This is the memorandum
Yes.
by our attorney, Daston.
Ooh.
This is his reply.
Wouldn't a legit doctor recuse himself, or at least say he's not speaking as a psychologist, but as a husband? Boom, PK Vale. That's exactly right, right? Like, I've done it a few times where I've been like, you guys, this is not like Dr. Vona speaking, this is Jaime Vona. Like, so absolutely, you should do that. Absolutely.
This is his reply to their free speech argument.
I have to check out this.
The reply memorandum in support of request for civil stalking and petitioner's pretrial brief.
I'm going to read some of this because I think it's important, and it's going to reiterate some of the issues we've talked about, especially about free speech. This is from the introduction. Quote, respondent's opposition fundamentally mischaracterizes both the law and the facts of this case by advancing two legally unsupported defenses. Number one, the petitioner's social media presence somehow diminishes her protection from stalking.
Interesting.
Think about that. She argued, her attorneys argued that her social media presence, that your social media presence diminished your protection from stalking.
Tell that to Taylor Swift.
So somehow, because you're a limited
Public figure.
And you have a social media presence, never once did you respond to her, by the way, but that diminishes your protection from stalking. And two, that creating multiple social media accounts dedicated to attacking petitioner's character constituted protected, quote, public discourse. Both arguments fail as a matter of law. The evidence before this court, including sworn declarations from multiple witnesses and documented exhibits, demonstrates a calculated campaign of harassment that has caused petitioner, you, to experience suicidal ideation for the first time in her life. As petitioner testified, up until 2025, I have never questioned that before. This has felt like a complete nightmare I can't wake up from, unquote. The dangerous precedent respondent seeks would eviscerate stalking protections for anyone with an online presence and would transform social media into a free fire zone for personal vendettas. The court should reject respondent's attempt to weaponize the First Amendment as a shield for targeted harassment.
So what's he like, just picking parts out, which is fine. He doesn't have to rebuild it.
The First Amendment protects robust public debate and criticism, but it does not protect courses of conduct intended to cause fear or emotional distress, targeted harassment campaigns, true threats, and stalking behavior. This is from Virginia v. Black, 538 U.S., Counterman versus Colorado, 600 U.S. Quote, the First Amendment permits restrictions on speech that threaten unlawful violence or consist of targeted harassment. The most compelling evidence that respondents' conduct constitutes stalking, rather than protected speech, is that the singular purpose of her social media accounts. Respondent has created at least two separate social media accounts dedicated exclusively to disparaging petitioner under the thin veil of discussing, quote, an ex-friend. This is not a case where respondent maintains general social media accounts that occasionally reference petitioner while discussing various topics. These
Oh my
accounts were
God.
created for
YouTube
one.
bid actor says, does he ever have his own thoughts? Right? Because he's always reading. Now, this is what I would say if I had to play devil's advocate, would be that you could say that he has his own thoughts, and then he, instead of saying, does he have his own thoughts, I would say, if I had to like tweak that a little bit, not that you care if I tweak it, but I'm just saying, I would say more likely that it would be, I need to find research to show people evidence that the thing that I'm thinking is legitimate and should be something that you should be thinking as well. So he goes and finds the things out there, because you guys have to remember, anybody could research, right? You could do research on anything, and you could find people that are going to look at things from different lenses. So you might have someone out there that argues that social media is bad for your identity, and you could have somebody out there that says that social media works to the benefit of an identity. My research showed that it was a little bit of both. For some of the students that I researched, they had like this amazing experience online and like used it in like creative ways. And then for a few of the other students, they had like cyberbullying experiences, which deterred them from wanting to use social media. So in other words, it wasn't either or, it was a little bit of both. And I think that's what's being lost here.
Purpose only, to conduct a sustained campaign attacking the petitioner's moral character. When 100% of an account's content targets a single individual, it cannot be characterized as public discourse. It is a harassment campaign.
My attorney is Dastin Dow, by the way. Many people asked. They thought this was really well done. Thank you, Dastin.
Oh my God.
The Supreme Court has long distinguished between speech on matters of public concern and purely private disputes. See Snyder versus Phelps. Personal grievances between former friends do not constitute matters of public concern that warrant First Amendment protection when used as weapons for harassment. This is revenge masquerading as free speech. I'm skipping around, by the way.
Yeah. I read the whole thing on my 9-hour live. You're making your points.
The clear intent is to damage the petitioner's reputation and cause emotional distress. Each account creation, each post, and each attempt to expand.
That's well said. He tends to fit the situation to the theory, not the other way around. That's exactly right. So that's what I agree with that 100%. That's exactly right. So he has the initial thought, and then he uses, like, he has like the situation fit his theory. Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
And the audience for these attacks constitutes a separate act in the stalking pattern. The use of multiple platforms demonstrates escalation and obsessive behavior, not legitimate commentary. Here, the numbers speak for themselves. 50 plus posts and videos about you, petitioner, over a 6-month period across multiple platforms. This far exceeds the statutory minimum of, quote, 2 or more acts.
Is under investigation, allegedly. Which one? She has 4.
Required by Utah law.
Is it?
Each of these 50 plus posts represents a deliberate choice to continue the harassment campaign. This is not a case of 1 or 2 ill-considered posts in a moment of anger. This is a sustained, deliberate campaign spanning half a year. The sheer volume and duration demonstrate the obsessive nature of
that is such an interesting take. On the surface, he's defending her, but also he's mocking her looks while acting like he's helping, but yet punishing her for staying away. So living with Grayson, or you could even say, if you don't want to say living with Grayson, just the time that she spends outside the home for her job, right? That's such an interesting take. And not only that do I see, I also see, even with other things, like what we were looking at, maybe it was last night, where it might even been tonight, I'm not sure. But anyway, where he says he's trying to make his point, and then she'll say something that kind of like goes against what he just said. And I know what it was. For example, she said about someone's lives, and he was like, how many lives do they have, Lauren? She was like, oh, like, it's, life, I meant life. And he was like, exactly. And then continued. Like, that was very condescending, in my opinion.
On its conduct and her intent to cause ongoing distress. The Ragsdale court emphasized examining the cumulative effect of conduct. A social media harassment campaign creates unique cumulative harm. We talked about this in the research. Permanent digital footprint of attacks, viral potential of expanding the audience, 24/7 accessibility to harassing content, and recruitment of others to participate in the harassment, which she did. Also, the ongoing nature creates the fear of escalation.
Oh, a wise woman. That definitely, in my opinion, that thought experiment was his own. He didn't. We're distracting you from your duties. That's funny. You guys, I don't think he like got that off of like somewhere. I definitely think that was part of. Oh, look at where Coffee would have loved that. You gotta love the tone amendments.
Respondents' opposition states it is simply not reasonable that Mathias would expect to continually engage in public discussion without encountering speech he disagrees with. This fundamentally misunderstands the reasonable person analysis under Utah Code 76-5-106.5. The proper inquiry is whether a reasonable person in petitioner's circumstances would experience fear or emotional distress from the specific conduct alleged, not whether public figures should generally expect criticism. The Supreme Court in Counterman versus Colorado recently reaffirmed that states may constitutionally prohibit true threats and stalking conduct, requiring only a showing of recklessness regarding the threatening nature of communications.
My bad. Oh.
There's a compelling government interest that includes protecting citizens from fear, targeted harassment, and stalking.
I'm just getting
of a compelling nature. The requested injunction seeks only to prevent stalking conduct, not legitimate criticism or protected speech. It is narrowly tailored to serve the government's interest in protecting petitioner from targeted harassment online.
What?
The evidence establishes that respondent created a systematic harassment campaign across multiple platforms, producing 53 plus documented videos and 33 plus Instagram posts dedicated exclusively to targeting the petitioner, which is confirmed by one of the witnesses. This unprecedented volume of content, combined with witness testimony, established the clear intent to harass rather than to engage in protected speech.
Everybody hit the like, don't forget.
Respondent published a video with caption, "Without his consent," falsely insinuating the sexual assault of the petitioner's dying brother, who just passed away in March of 2020, sister, with false sexual assault allegations. Respondent posted recordings of petitioner's voice comparing her murderer to murderer Jodi Arias, garnering 33,000 plus views.
Wait, what?
To murderer Jodi.
Sorry.
The respondent posted recordings of petitioner's voice comparing her murderer to murderer Jodi Arias, garnering 33,000 plus views.
What?
The events in Boise, Idaho also demonstrate how the respondent's online campaign translated into real-world stalking involving multiple accomplices. He lists those. I'm not going to go over those. You've covered all these. I'm just covering the main points.
What Trisha Griffith said was really good. To mention her.
It is good.
Yeah, that's what I was confused.
I'm just going to finish with this, and then I'm going to finish up with some final thoughts.
Oh, good. Sorry,
each post, each confrontation, each violation represents a separate act far exceeding the statutory minimum, which is two incidents. That's all you needed.
Right, just two.
But more than that, let me just reiterate, her violating the stalking injunction at CrimeCon, that should have been an automatic grounds for enforcement.
Yeah.
And the judge wouldn't even hear it. Respondents' opposition rests on two fundamental legal errors. Number one, the belief that public visibility diminishes one's right to be free from stalking. And two, the claim that social media accounts dedicated to attacking an ex-friend constitute protected public discourse. Both positions find no support in Utah law and would create dangerous precedents. I agree with that, by the way. That if this was dismissed, if we didn't drop this, the precedent here would have been unbelievable.
What?
Think about that. A small court in Provo, Utah, setting a precedent for all kids and adults to engage in unrestricted stalking under the guise of free.
So, you guys, wow. Talk about a moral crusade. He's saying right here, in my opinion, that if they didn't, thank God for us, Lauren, that we dropped this, because if we didn't drop this and you lost this, that would have set a horrible precedent going forward. Like it. That's like, wow.
Speech for the rest of their lives. The statutory length off stalking Provo, Utah, setting a precedent for all kids. Think about that.
Wait.
The precedent here would have been unbelievable. Think about that. A small court in Provo, Utah, setting a precedent for all kids and adults to engage in unrestricted stalking under the guise of free speech for the rest of their lives. The statutory language is clear and dispositive. Utah Code 76-5-106.5 explicitly prohibits communications, quote, to or about an individual. The legislature did not limit the statute to direct contact. It deliberately included or about to capture indirect harassment campaigns.
To or
about. She doesn't need to speak to you. She just needs to speak about you.
Her attorney's actually specifically left out.
About, yeah.
On purpose.
Yes, nobody would have known this. But
Yeah. Grayson even noted it. And then so did her attorney.
Yeah.
Her attorneys left out some of the case law.
Right. That was convenient. Just leave out the case law. Respondents' creation of multiple social media accounts posting 50 plus times about petitioner over 6 months falls squarely within the statutory prohibition. Each of these 50 plus posts represents a deliberate choice to continue communicating about petitioner to third parties, far exceeding the statutory minimum of 2 acts required for a course of conduct. Utah's civil stalking statute protects all persons equally, regardless of their public profile or social media presence. The statute's inclusion of communication about individuals.
But that was actually that was the thing that got me like over the edge, if you will, or whatever the saying would be, is that he wanted Christina thrown in prison for 50 years, 5 years for 10 offenses. That is why I was like, wait, this is a mother of 4. Like, what's happening? And it was also because I then was watching like some things where I would see, like in the 9 Hour Live, I watched the 9 Hour Live where she was showing other people's text messages.
Demonstrates the legislature's clear intent.
Okay. Have they played the audio in court to their gems? I don't know. That's a good question. That's a great question.
To prevent exactly what respondent has done here, conduct an indirect harassment campaign through social media. To hold otherwise would eviscerate stalking protections in the modern digital age and create an untenable legal precedent whereby anyone with an online presence forfeits basic personal safety protection. The evidence clearly establishes that respondent has engaged in a sustained campaign of harassment through multiple social media platforms. This is not protected public discourse. It is targeted harassment using an ex-friend as a thin veil for a personal vendetta. The First Amendment protects robust public debate. It does not protect weaponizing social media platforms to conduct harassment campaigns about individuals through dozens of posts over months. The evidence before this court paints a disturbing picture.
Wouldn't a harassment campaign be if like Christina was like sending people like, I don't know, email saying, can you please back me type thing? That's not what was happening. She was expressing how she felt about her friend breakup, and we have a right to express how we feel, just like we're all doing right now tonight.
Picture of calculated sustained harassment that has driven a professional journalist and mother to contemplate respondent's creation of accounts solely to expose her, quote, ex-friend, her recruitment of others to join this campaign.
Ex-friend, I thought it was a parasocial relationship. Which one is it?
Stalking across state lines, her brazen violation of this court's injunction demonstrate conduct that no reasonable interpretation of law would protect, except Provo courts.
Well, we don't know. We dropped.
Patricia Griffith summarized it best. Quote, criticism of someone's work is one thing,
hear that?
but setting out.
He said, except for Provo courts. And she said, well, we don't know that because we dropped it.
To destroy a person, to incite fear, and to threaten their livelihood is reprehensible, harmful, and flat out wrong.
It is.
Tricia Griffith.
Thank you, Tricia. The court must reject the respondent's attempt to weaponize the First Amendment as a shield for what multiple witnesses, including a forensic psychologist, have identified as dangerous stalking behavior with, quote, clear antisocial traits that significantly increase the risk of harmful behavior in the future. We talked about that.
Grayson edited that and made sure she put this in
earlier. That significant have identified as dangerous stalking behavior with, quote, clear antisocial traits that significantly increase the risk of harmful behavior in the future.
Wow.
Including a forensic psychologist, have identified as dangerous stalking behavior with, quote, clear
what
antisocial.
She just took out right there, you guys. I can remember. They give his credentials again. That he's that John even says as a clinical and forensic psychologist.
Traits that significantly increase the risk of harmful behavior in the future.
Which is so unethical because you're not. Why is he diagnosing? Or not even diagnosing? Yeah, he is diagnosing. He's saying that he's not saying that she displays those behaviors. He said, did he?
They're antisocial traits that significantly increase the risk of harmful behavior in the future. We talked about that earlier in this show.
Wow.
Those are the main points. So for those on the side of free speech at any cost, that's what our attorney said. I want to end with my book.
You got a lot of books. Which book?
It was over here. No, it's not.
Is it this book under here?
No, it's the. Oh, here it is. I got it. All right, here we are. How long has this been going on?
Not 9 hours. What?
Huh?
How many?
4 hours.
4 hours. All right.
hours.
I thought it would be around 3, but we far exceeded that. 4 hours. So think about that. I'm less than half of your epic marathon.
Yeah.
Oh, well. What did that mean? That was kind of passive aggressive.
I want to go back to this idea of a moral crusade and how important that was for this campaign.
Wow.
And
This is
I
unbelievable.
want to talk a little bit about, so one of the things I've been doing is revisiting the Salem witch trials, the historical record, and also Arthur Miller's interpretation in The Crucible.
Okay.
I think there's no doubt that the Salem witch trials were a moral crusade because they were obviously, the community
Now we're
was engaged in a smear campaign against specific individuals that they deemed to be witches. Of course, there were no such thing as witches. It was a moral crusade because it was based in the puritanical, religious, and spiritual worldview of the community. So the basic idea was that if you find witches that don't exist, that you purge them, you eliminate them, right? And that's the same thing we saw in Dayville, by the way.
You do
Yeah.
PK
Group of people that called themselves the
The Seven Gatherers.
Seven Gatherers, right? Which, not ironically, is the same label that this group uses to describe themselves. Similar dynamics, but in the book, this is the Penguin Classics
50
version of The Crucible. There's an introduction by a literary critic. His name is Christopher Bigsby. Bigsby does a brilliant job of summarizing the critical motivations in
that
The
is
Crucible,
the bottom line.
also a moral crusade. 19 witches were hanged, 2 dogs were killed, and 1 person was crushed to death during the Salem witch trials in 1692. I'm going to read this line from the critic because
so much trials thing.
I think it's
Exhibits.
absolutely relevant to this discussion, and I think it's a good way to end in thinking about all the motivations that this smear campaign involved,
I'm
all
exhausted.
the
Please end.
all the people that believe they have the moral authority to vilify you and dehumanize you, right? Just like they did in Salem, Massachusetts. Like, has the world really
Down
changed
Massachusetts.
in 350
Sorry,
years?
I can't.
Like, has the world really changed and dehumanize you, right? Just like they did in Salem, Massachusetts. Like, to vilify you and dehumanize you, right? Just like they did in Salem, Massachusetts. Like, vilify you and dehumanize you, right? Just like they did in Salem, Massachusetts. Like, has the world really changed
I need to use that as like
in
a-
350 years? Has the world really changed that much?
That's funny.
No.
What's up, cracking that? Hi, D Central.
I'm going to read this.
I should say hi, D Central.
In his hands, meaning Arthur Miller's hands, quote, this is from the introduction, quote, in Arthur Miller's hands, the ghosts of those who
Wasn't
died
him?
have proved real enough. Even if the witches they were presumed to be were little more than fantasies, conjured by a mixture of fear, ambition, frustration, jealousy, and perverted pride. That's exactly, I couldn't say it better. Those are exactly the motivations
Yes.
that
thank you
fueled this
so
smear
much
campaign.
for
Those are the motivations
driving.
that fueled
Please subscribe, you guys. And
vilifying you, dehumanizing
get me
you.
to 100 likes so that it goes out in the algorithm.
Let me read it again. The witches
Read it
were
again.
presumed to be little more than fantasies conjured by a mixture of fear, ambition, frustration, jealousy, and perverted pride. Why fear? Why fear? Because I think you pose threats to people's identities. You pose threats to their self-esteem. You may have posed threats to their businesses.
Their job.
Not from anything you did.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Not from anything you did. Just from running our channel, from producing good art and good content, by getting good interviews, by being a quality journalist, by being an ethical journalist. You created fear. Ambition, because all of these people were competitors. Their
I
ambition,
thought, no, they
their
hell.
ambition to see you.
Were they competitors really? Because didn't they say this whole time that they weren't the same as her, that she's a true crime, and that they're not in this field? Like, you can't have it both ways.
As a witch. Frustration. This group was frustrated because they couldn't control you. This group couldn't get you to conform. Jealousy. Jealousy over the quality of your work. Nothing more. Jealousy over the fact that you were growing so rapidly. Perverted pride. That's the pride to control the world. The pride to dominate the world. The pride to control other people. The pride to harass other people, to control them, to intimidate them. And most importantly, I'm going to add with this final thought, the pride to engage in a self-righteous moral crusade against you for no reason other than pure fantasy. That's it.
That's all you got, and I don't really have a watch on. Thank you. Was it 9 hours? You did pretty good.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. You didn't have to take a bathroom break. I did.
That's no, I took one.
Okay, you did. Oh, so did I.
OMG, you guys. Wow. Oh my God. I'm actually like really glad that that was over. That was a lot. So I will say that I do agree that like pride is not a great thing, right? It's like extreme pride. So pride could be like a crutch for insecurity. And when he was saying that thing at the end, oh, I hate when my bangs start to do that. But anyway, when he was saying that thing at the end, it reminded me of something my husband always says. Whenever somebody says they're fine, my husband swears that that means frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And that's what that just reminded me of when John was explaining those things at the end. It was like, go, Rye. My union iron worker husband, I love it. You feel violated? Gutter Snipe, what's up? So, you guys, you feel threatened, Kathy? That's funny. She looks scared a few times. Be proud, not boastful. Ooh, that's an 8 comment too. It really is. But listen, you guys, I'm going to end it. It's 3:17, and I've been going to bed so late. Hi, D Central. Hi from one Italian to another. You remind me of the ladies in my family, except some of the older ones in my family have mustaches, not you or me. So I will say this, ID Central. Look up. Oh my God, you guys, what's my other channel that I have that I made? I just did it as like a joke. Oh my God, what the hell is it called? South Philly Mayor. Look up South Philly Mayor. You'll laugh, I think. You'll think it's funny. Definitely look it up. And write a comment so that I know that you saw it. I think you'll laugh. All right, you guys. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to my mods. Please go to our Discord. Cuffy's not in here, so I don't have the Discord link. Sorry. But if you scroll back, it's definitely in here somewhere. I'd love to be a fly on their wall, too. You laughed, Sky? There you go. Yes, South Philly. I appreciate all of you for being here. And thank you all for being respectful. And thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you for the memberships, super chats, everything. You guys are so amazing. I feel so blessed to have all of you. Thank you to the mods. Good night, everybody. Have a fabulous Sunday. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. Maybe. We'll see. I have like some catching up on life to do too. But we'll see what happens. All right, so, and then Monday I work early, but we'll see what happens. All right, I'll talk to you guys later, either tomorrow or Monday. Goodbye.